Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Closing Acumen again. My name is Henry Peabody. Will be your host here tonight until the other panelists join. We have a few folks who are traveling. Tomalin will be in Providence, Rhode Island at a funeral of a dear friend and brother, Mr. Reston Lacroix. He will be funeralized tomorrow in Providence, Rhode Island. So Tomalin is on his way, and Chairman Ben Sanvee is out of the country at the moment. He's in Mexico on his family vacation. So wish them well as they travel. So the other guys will be joining us shortly. But we want to thank you for hopping in here with me as we continue on the happenings in Liberia. Let me just welcome some of you for jumping in. Uh, Welcome our friend and brother Maurice Tiller. Thank you, Maurice. Maurice is the best program in Liberia right now. Thank you, Maurice. We appreciate it. And as you give us those, please share it as well. Those good words. Share the show as well. Uh, UJ One Way. Good evening. He's following from Johnsonville, Liberia, and our friend James Kayuti is following us from Dupero. Thompson B. Bus is watching us live from Australia. Oh my God! Folks are so great to stay out and watch our show. So we appreciate you guys so much. Uh, William Sa Sabah Davids. He's watching us from Minnesota. I hear Williams a lot going on in Minnesota this weekend. The Cathedral reunion is having a program this year, and Monrovia College as well. They are all meeting in Minnesota this weekend, and I understand there will be a soccer game as well between Cathedral and Monrovia College. So it's going to be a lot of fun if you are in Minnesota. I encourage you to attend one of those events, the Cathedral Reunion and the Monrovia College as well in Minnesota. So we good to have you, George Christopher Ware. Good to have you, my friend. Thank you for taking up your time again. Uh, Winifred Smith, good to see you, Winifred. And Philip Catty is joining us from London. Thank you, God. Thank you for coming on. It's a lot happening in Liberia. It's a lot going on, folks. I understand the president had uh, uh, a cabinet meeting today, and he challenged his folks to declare the assets. And he said if they didn't, they will change them, and the people that brought the name forward or put to hire them will not talk to them. So the president did give a strong warning to his folks today as well. So we are very honored to have all of you here today. We will go through some newspaper, but before we, Jerry Henney, it's almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, Jerry, we appreciate you joining us, Jerry. We we have to get off work, Jerry, and come and do the show. Sometimes it's tough, but we have to commit, and that's why we are committed to keeping you guys abreast of what happened. Godwin Camo Tall Sr., watching from, he said, Chinia, Wyoming. Welcome, my friend. Uh, 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 Josh Limley, he said, and I'm here. Jerry Vonnie is watching from Liberia as well. So, yeah, guys, we're looking forward to a great show. There's a couple of things in the news here today. Uh, uh, we just going to Henry. If you have some of those news over there that you want to put up, you can do that. But as you make your way, uh, uh, can you just keep sharing the show? Uh, uh, just share it, and we want more people to come on as we drive into. Also today, if you are watching and you want to come on and make a contribution to the show, hit me up. I will send you a link. You will come in and and talk as well. We want to have open. I don't, but yes, we're going to have that discussion. So let me go into the newspaper on what's happening in Liberia. We have not completed. Their report that uh, uh, their report that President suspending uh, the governor of the central bank was illegal from the act that created the central bank. Uh, so that's something to really dive into tonight. Whether it is right to suspend the governor of the central bank. I mean, it's something that we want to dive into. Uh, oh, Jerry, you want to come on, Jerry? You got my Jerry. Let me tell you, if you have my Facebook, go on Facebook, look for Henry Peabody, or send me your Facebook link, and I will send you the link. It would be good to have you on. Come, let's talk some politics. Come help us talk some politics. It would be great. But in the meantime, let's talk about some. I didn't have the opportunity to talk about it last weekend. I was in Wurzburg, Germany, and we had an opportunity to visit with the Liberian community there. Very good people, very generous. I went to Germany, and people were so receptive to see me. Uh, in fact, I didn't even spend a dime on everything. I mean, every dime I took, I sent it back. Jerry, if you can just put your Facebook link here, I can definitely send you and the guys were so generous. We had from the president, Francis Menza, Mr. Mayango, Mr. Kingston Ware, Mr. Mark Muller from Switzerland, uh, Bassa King, one of the very nice kid. I mean, this kid prepared, make sure that I had meal 3 days. I was there. I mean, he took me to the Audi factory where they fix all the Audi cars. I mean, he bought me pass to go around the place and to see start saying, I was shocked. I really don't take favor from people like that. But I mean, he was so generous. I didn't even know what to say. But we really appreciate the guys, Khalifa, all the folks, the Sandro Mates, uh, uh, all the folks there in Holland, Belgium. Everybody. It was just an honor to be there and just hang with you guys. Thank you again, guys. I would love to show the pictures, some pictures, soon, so folks can see some activities. But it was a great time. The Minister of Finance was there. I mean, former Minister of Finance and Senator of Bapu County, Senator Amar Kone, he was there, and we just had a great time talking about different issues and from our days in high school and everything like that. So it was a great, great time. Welcome, Dr. Howard Jones. It's really good to see you. Uh, uh, so yeah, so what we talking about? Maybe I want one male and one female, if you can, to join me on this platform today, and let's talk some politics. We want to include you in the politics. Now, we don't want you to be listening to us, but we want to include you in the politics. So if you like, I can hit the link, and you can come on, and let's get the ball rolling. But I'm asking that you just share the link. A couple of things I want to talk about. The central bank. Uh, uh, is it did the president act in accordance with the act that created the central bank by suspending the governor? There are also reports that over 100 more, 140 government officials, more than 140 government officials, have not declared the asset after the president gave them. It's been 6 months, and they have not declared the assets. So I don't know what's going on. What's the issue here? You know. But Jerry, I will look for you on Facebook. Okay, okay. All right, Jerry. I will send you the link. I think I got you here on Facebook, Jerry M. Hine. I think I got you. I'll send you the link. Dr. Howard Jones, you want to come up too? Yes, I've been noticing that American from our high school days. We've known each other. We went to Monrovia College High School and we were classmates. Very smart man, you know. So, yep, I've been knowing him, Mustafa. I know him very well. Lapu Kisomo, welcome. Dr. Howard Jones, if you want to come on the show, hit me up. Let me just bring you on. But, Jerry, let me get the link and I'll send it to you so we can begin. You know, the president came up and called all the officials to declare the assets. And it had been six months. Yeah, Regina, good to see you. Jonathan B. Williams, he said he joined us from Benghazi in Libya. Wow, be careful over there, man. Benghazi used to be a good place, but uh, uh, it's not what it used to be before. Let me get this link and send it to uh, Jerry. Jerry want to join us to talk politics. So it been about what? 5 months, 6 months, and you got over 100 something more who have not declared the assets. Well, tell us why. It's watching us from New Hope, PA. Boy, New Hope is a very. I don't live too far from New Hope. It's a very rich place. A lot of rich people live in New Hope. Uh, uh, uh. So, but anyway, yes. So you got 140 or 150 people who have not declared the asset. 6 months into the government, when the president got behind you and told you guys that you need to declare the asset, they have not done it. You know, and how can you want to fight corruption? And a lot of you have not declared your assets. Are you talking about you fighting corruption on other people? You know, I hear there are a lot more indictment coming that will be taking place. You know, as I always say here on the show, I don't have a problem with government holding people accountable for what they did in previous government, but it must be done on a transparent basis. It must not be done on, personal trying to go after people, wish on them, and stuff like that. If you want to hold people accountable, go and let it be transparent. That's all I ask. Let it be very, very transparent, so that people can know that the process is free and fair. You don't want people to feel that you're going after them because uh, you didn't, let's be free and fair. But as you know, I don't trust. Do I rather trust who's going to head this whole corruption thing? No, because it's been the last 6 months, and we have seen a lot of what the Liberian people used to say: rampant, massive corruption. People stealing early. Uh, Good evening. It's people choice. Watching from Caldwell. Good evening, my friend. Do we really trust the people who are leading this process? You know, is this the previous government, is the UP government any transparent? Well, I don't know, because just 6 months into this administration, we have seen a lot of bomb of corruption exploding from different bomb, and even from the legislature, the Senate. They went on honeymoon ambassador. They were dividing huge money, giving it out to people and things like that. So, it's been a 6 month, and it's a lot that's happening. But let me say honestly, let me also, I think President Blanca have also been doing some good stuff by periodically having cabinet meetings. I think that is a great idea, and I think I applaud the fact that they meet all the time to have cabinet meetings. But that's good. Keeping what I think he's been holding his people together, having meeting and having different discussion. So, but I'm getting reports that the court have confirmed that the three officials from the WIA administration have finally been released from the Monrovia Central Prison after the assigned judge at Criminal Court B approved the three suspect bond. They are Jefferson Camore from the National Security, Consider Yanti Twine, former Solicitor General, and Moses Cooper, former controller at the Financial Intelligence Unit. They have been in prison since Monday. Their release before their release on Friday. Now, tell me, what kind of law you have in that country? The Liberian law says 72 hours. Within 72 hours, if you arrest somebody, they should be able to put a bond and you release them. You arrested these people. You kept them in jail for almost a week before you finally granted them bond. I think that's a violation of the human rights. It is a violation, and these kind of things should not be encouraged at all. It should not be encouraged. This is a complete a violation of the human rights. But guys, we waiting. Jared, I send you the link. These guys have been in prison since Monday. When you arrest people, I understand he did not bond. Then later on issue it. On what ground did he deny them bond? Were they flight risks? Were there folks that was going to run away from the country and all of that? You don't just go about denying people bond if they're not a flight rate and all of that. It's not a. I mean, they are not a serious criminal to say that they are very dangerous to society and all of that. And sometimes our legal system, people just want to exercise rights, but they don't go by the system. They want to flex muscle instead of flexing legal muscle, which is very very sad. So it's a lot. Let me read the Independent newspaper is saying here. I know that's Samuel Toy is saying that he will vindicate. I will vindicate my reputation. Samuel Toy, and then the Minister of Transport, I understand, have reduced transportation fare. Well, that's a good thing. Let's see what happened. They say for persecution of corrupt officials, NPP backs Boakai. Well, the NPP they just a lonely child going all over the place right now. So they can back anybody. It's all about looking for a job and getting money. That's what I think. That's what I think. It's all about looking for a job and getting money. So NPP people that rather take them serious. They back Boakai, for the persecution of corrupt officials. Of course, the corrupt officials need to be persecuted. I agree with that. I agree. They need to. But let's do it in a transparent way. Not after 6 months when your government has already been plagued with a lot of corruption, and then you punishing people. Our legal system, our judicial system has a lot of flaws. Don't get me wrong. I respect it, but we all agree that have a lot of flaw. If you have money in that country, you can be vindicated in anything. You'll be acquitted. To be honest, people go and take people land and stuff like that, doing all this stuff. Once you have money in that country, you'll be vindicated in a minute. And that's the kind of judicial system we're dealing with. So I respect the idea that corrupt official would be punished, but let the process be free and fair. And then another part of this newspaper, the article is saying that Liberia to host 2024 International Investment Conference. Good idea. Liberia do need investors to go there, But again, with corruption and bad justice system, investor will run away. Who want to come and invest 30, $40 million and will not be able to, when there's anything wrong, the court does not even protect you. So we need to fix our judicial system. Our judicial system, honestly, is bad. If somebody knows you, you can go free. Like a lady I know watched a video one time. This lady was in the U.S. She and her husband invested their saving with one company, Manladian house somewhere there where they build houses. And thank God, I was going to buy the house there too. I went there, looked at the property, came back making preparation to see if I would. Thank God they didn't send my money over there. Then they did send her money, and every time she went to Liberia, they show her different places. Until finally they gave her one old house and said she needed to finish the place. And when she took the case to court, when the sheriff was coming to arrest the owner of that building, you know what happened? Somebody from the very court called the guy and said, "You got to run away. They come to arrest you." And they got to run away. You know? So that's what we talk about judicial system in our country. It's you have to put it together. You have to work on it. If you don't have a good judicial system, nobody want to come there and invest. Nobody want to come spend all the money. But the law must work so that it must, when it works, people have confidence in the law. Yes, we can come back. No, I can come to Liberia. Anybody try to rob me or my money, I can get redressed through the court system. You know. And then the New Dawn newspaper is saying, you talk about ex official dragged to court, uh, and it talks about a man killed his 28-year-old wife after accusing her of having extra relationship. Wow, why is it? Wow, people get so jealous killing a wife because I mean sometimes you just gotta walk away, brother. You just gotta walk away from the stuff. You gotta walk away. And then we're looking at the Verity News. It say ghost withdrawal over US 4 million, Liberia 79 million paid without evidence. There you go again. Every day some kind of money is missing from somewhere. You know, yes, Musu, you're right. Musu says her husband are going through the same problem. I know. I almost got anybody I was smart. I read it a long time. I said, I ain't sending my money there again. I'll go to buy one of those houses on the shopping highway. I went there, I looked at it, beautiful. You know, some of them were 28 grand, 48 grand. And I really like it. I came back to show the picture to my family. But then, in the Liberian way, when I read it, I think, I thought that I will see that lady complaining too about them giving her old house. And instead of building a house, they have not built her house up to the time uh, 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 to build a house. So she had to get out, you know, and they never get, I don't know what became of the story, but it's just one story in Liberia. And you go to the court, you waste your time because probably the judge and the sheriff, all of them, they're all best friends. I mean, the people then, the accused, they're all best friends. So at the end of the day, you get nothing in return. You know, yes, Dr. Jones believed that the U.S. government may have arrested those individuals because the U.S. told them to or else some of their aid who have. Yeah, the U.S. government is always calling for corrupt people to be investigated. If they give you money, I mean, you got to use the money right. I mean, I'm not saying there was no corruption. There was a lot of corruption in Liberia, but let them just do it the real way. Go fair, and stuff like that, And then the Verity News is also reporting, they say government of Liberia failed assets declaration law with 26.5 compliance. Only 26.5 people comply. Man, tell me, with the assets declaration. What a shame, though. I mean, and even after going to the meeting today, you don't call these people and tell them you suspend them until they declare the asset or you fire them. You still giving them a chance. If they don't do it, then you fire them. You're warning them again after 6 months. When you give the mandate that these people need to come in, these people need to comply after 6 months. You're not coming back and saying that if you don't do it, only 26% of the people comply. Just how we had the assets, the group that should go after government property asset stuff, nothing worked. Nothing worked. In fact, they were requesting more money than doing the work. They wanted more than 300,000. They're doing the work. what will become of our country? My friends, what is actually going on in our country? You know, uh, 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 okay, Professor Kennedy. I don't know. I thought I put the link in the chat room. Let me put it back in, Professor. Let me see. Uh, but what is actually going on in our country that we cannot trust? I mean, people go. I mean, this morning I was driving to work and I was thinking, why is it that people just put their entire life on government job? What? Everybody, the wealth they get is from government job. Everything they earn is from government job. I mean, you want to tell me people cannot just find a way of earning things for themselves? It's all about government job, government job, government job. So I'm really really shocked. You know why people don't do that. But it's all government job. People getting rich, they getting all their wealth, everything at the expense of the very people that they serve. At the expense of the very people that they serve. Can you imagine? We can't even nothing we can do to help ourselves. Everything is government job. You see a new group getting 6 years, and all will be in our government job. They will be posting and all of that. You know, and that is so sad. Very very sad. Very very sad. Why you say that? We only look for government job. Professor Kennedy, I have put the link in there. If you see it, Jerry Henry, see you're joining us. I sent you the link. You can't come on. I don't know why, but yeah. But this is what's going on. You see, why government job, government job? I mean, the president told you before when he came to power, he said everybody must declare their asset. Okay, the president went, brought some assets that were not accessible, got behind him. The president made his declaration public. Now you can't even. Only 26 people have complied. Are you serious? Only 26% of the government official comply. What is going on? You see, so this appears to be disrespect, complete disrespect to your boss, gross insubordination. I would have expected the president to actually suspend some people or fire some people, but it appears that he's not doing it at all. He's in the meeting and talking, oh, you didn't do it, then we'll do the one. I mean, they should be suspended by now. It's been 6 months, Mr. President. It's been 6 months. Some of these people should be suspended or fired. If they cannot declare the assets, then definitely, you know what the plan. The plan is to come and get more before declaring it. You see, so this is a complete violation, and the people who did not declare the assets should be fired by now, Mr. President. That's what the president should have done. You can't have 26% of your people complying, and the rest cannot comply. That is a bad precedent, Mr. President. You can't fight corruption like this. And those who are undermining you by being non-compliant in declaring their assets, Mr. President, you need to take a step because they are undermining your government, President Joseph Boakai. They are undermining your government. So, President Boakai, you need to take some steps in order to ensure that these people comply. If they don't, I mean, you need to fire them by now. How much chance are you going to give them? How much chance? 10? How many chances are you going to give them? I mean, look at what's been going on. So something needs to be done. So something in order to ensure that they are in compliance. So let me continue here. We got the training thing we're talking about. I understand those people arrested. They have been granted bond after 5 days in jail. And we are also hearing that only 26% of the people have complied with the asset declaration. The asset recovery team is already D, how they call it, DOA. They're gone. The money they wanted before they even start recurring asset was more than they wanted more money than the actual worth of the asset they were going to recover. they were they wanted more money than even the value more than the asset they were going to recover. They wanted a new car. I mean, it didn't come from my mouth. It came from somebody on the team. What's his name? Martin Cully was here. He said it. It came right from Martin Cully. It didn't come from me. Martin Cully said it. So we talking about it's a serious thing, folks. I've seen people who have died. You have people taking the money for property, for houses, and they can't get it. My father-in-law in Virginia have a lot of property in Marshall, Rouse Field Highway. My father-in-law used to be a general manager with X-Champ in Rouse Field, and his land. I mean, the original deed. He got some government official went and took the man land, started building, already finished building big houses on it, and he has the original deed. You take him to court, probably nothing will happen. But I told him, rest assured, we're going to retrieve those land. Those who went and built on it, they will end up breaking the home or doing something. But this is the problem we have in our country. If we have a real law, those things will not happen. Some people leave from here and go for 1 month. They run behind court cases for a whole month, and the case didn't even go on. They had to come back to work. Because you can't be in Liberia, give up your job, running behind one land issue. There need to be a land reform in our country. Because people are going and they are taking people's land, they are building on it, and this is becoming a problem. And what the law? And that's one of the things I always say, because I love Liberia. I love my country. In fact, one reason I'm always there, I'm always helping in those villages and everywhere I'm there, scholarship villages and other places. I'm always there. I love my country. But I have not been convinced to live in Liberia because some of the disadvantages that take place it's a problem. Some of the disadvantages that go on in that country. I mean, if you don't have any law to fight for you, what will you do? Somebody can come and attack you soon in the morning, and you'll be done. What do you do at night? People come attack you. What can you do? I mean, our hospitals. Go to JFK. Every government come look at JFK and do improve JFK. Every government. Every government. 3 years ago, I had the opportunity of taking a lot of medical supplies to Liberia and some other stuff, and that I donated to JFK. But the most shameful thing is there were even women who gave birth. They not even had the pampers, and that was so shameful. We donated a lot of that, but it's a shame though. That's the major hospital you have in Liberia. Why can't they invest? Why can't the president call a donor meeting for JFK and say we want to call a donor meeting today? We'll begin with our own people. We want to raise 5-10 million to renovate our hospital. JFK remain in Rome. Look, they're doing some work there, some areas, that's true. But go there and take a tour one day. You give up. I went there, the doctor took me on the tour for over 3-4 hours. And I mean, you have people may not like this, that's the truth. But you have people washing patient clothes with their hand. They had 1 or 2 washing machines that was totally broken down. Done. People washing. I'm serious telling you. So Let me ask Professor. I'm trying to bring Professor on. Professor here. Oh, guys, can you add the professor on? He's on, but he can't see him. I mean, so, you know, yes, 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 Professor. Professor, welcome, welcome. You know,
Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm well, sir. Well, good to see.
Good. You can hear me?
Yeah, clear. I can hear you. I
Good,
can hear
good,
you.
good, good. Yeah, man. I saw you sitting all by yourself. I said, let me join it, Doc, man. Said I can help
Yeah,
you.
I've been here. You know, I've just been lonely child sitting here and waiting for the other guys to join in. You know, so but we'll just go more general things. You know, one of the era I was talking about was JFK. You know, I haven't seen. I don't know why we can't have a donor meeting. General, just raise funds right in Liberia to see how we can improve JFK. I've been to JFK many times. I've been on tour. The last time I went to JFK was 3 years ago, and the people in the laundry room were using their bare hands to wash the patient clothes and stuff like that. And that was one of the worst things I ever see, you know, and stuff like that. It was sad, Professor. And I don't know, but I mean, it's not only just on this government, but we have had previous government, and you know, every government seems to come and feel like you can solve JFK problem. That's all.
And you know what that says? It says that we keep using the same strategy that's not working, right? Yeah, the whole business about running over to the IMF, running over to the World Bank, waiting for USAID to send money, waiting for Japan or even the Swedish governments or even the African Development Bank to send money. That strategy hasn't worked, right? To a certain extent, JFK needs to be well funded through the budget, but the budget has the recurring expenditures, and even now, the amount of money that is being spent just to service the debt doesn't leave enough fiscal space to take care of things like education and healthcare, which are two important elements you need to grow your economy, you know, because we seem to have the priorities mixed up, right? We put more value in paying legislators higher salaries than we put in terms of paying healthcare workers. Who you think offers a lot more value to the people? The legislators or healthcare workers?
Healthcare worker.
Because if the legislator gets sick, they're going to run to the healthcare workers. Healthcare workers don't run to the legislators if they
Yep.
get sick. So yeah, so you have to get your priorities straight. You got to put your money in the areas that offers a lot of value. You got to put money in education. But if you
Right.
want to I heard you talking about the investment thing they were looking to do. I've seen, I don't know, Doc, you've seen a lot of these investment initiatives that talk about having an investment conference. They even had one during Weir's time where I think Toga McIntosh sat on a committee. He was chair or head of a
Right.
committee.
Right.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
What was it? What was the outcome of that? Did we hear anything
Nothing.
about it?
Nothing.
Nothing came of it. You know what
Right.
the other countries are doing? Ghana, South Africa, a lot of the South American countries, what they're doing is they contact the the U.S. government. The U.S. government has the largest economy. The U.S. government want to do business in pretty much every country. If you're going to do business with anyone, don't send your VC people who don't understand business and investment because they will get hustled.
Exactly.
You need to
Exactly.
send the best qualified people so they can
Yeah.
know the value of your resources. So when these people start talking some highly technical terms, when they start talking about return on investment, project, all these kind of things, then you should understand what they're talking about so you don't get hustled and then later on start complaining that, oh, they put finger in your eye. These
Yes.
countries are sending their best minds to connect with these people and set up these conferences with major governments and large manufacturers within those governments. So the government reach out to, so for example, let's take South Africa, for example, or let's take even Botswana. They will contact someone within the US government. US government will now place an ad with a lot of the major corporations and see, hey, South Africa is having an investment conference. Are you interested in joining this conference? Maybe they're
Mhm.
discussing something about agriculture. Maybe there's an opportunity for sanitation or opportunity to do something in oil palm. These corporations now will say, oh, we might be interested in doing some investments in there. That's how you draw them in. But the strategy, and in fact, I'm only judging this based on what I've seen in the past. But what strategy are they going to use to bring these investors in and draw them in there? Because, Doc, it goes to something you said earlier. You need to have a stable economy. You need to have a place where it is safe. Investors not going to come to your country if they see you have very high corruption, you have very high crimes. So let's see what President Boykott's going to do. Let's see if he's going to put some investment into making the country a little bit more safer. Maybe the Ministry of Commerce will connect with foreign investors to bring them in. But let's see. Let's see what the public going to do.
Yeah, even one thing you talk about, Professor Kennedy, the judicial system. It seemed to be a serious problem with our judicial system. I'm not condemning it, but there's a lot of flaw in our judicial system. So if we have, investor coming in, you have a good judicial system, it's almost impossible that people want to come there, knowing that the money they're not guaranteed when there's a problem. They know they're not guaranteed. Like I was reading this morning, it said only 26% of President Barker officials have complied with the assets declaration, Mr. Kennedy. So how can the government be serious to actually fight corruption, set up a stable economy when
Those people
just
should be suspended. That's
yeah,
you gotta take the rule of law serious, man. No country has developed without taking the rule of law serious. Those people should be suspended.
yep,
Didn't Ellen do that at one time?
yep, she did that to her own son. She suspended them because they could
Got to
not
suspend
support.
them.
Yeah, but 26%. I understand that the five officials, the 3 officials were released today after spending 5 days in jail. They were finally granted bond and all of that. But Professor, let me ask you, how do you think the government going to go about actually persecuting these people? I know you're not a lawyer, but when there are reports that some people in the very government were involved in some of these some of the money, received some money and all of that when they worked there. So how you think government can will actually do that, Professor?
Look, here's the trick. The government may not be able to prosecute everyone because they can't afford it. But the trick is to succeed in prosecuting one or two very high level people because we know that, Liberia, like other African countries, have this big man syndrome, right? We feel that a big man can never be prosecuted. So it's like when you look at the animals in the wild. If a lion wants to take over that whole clan or over that whole, you will go after the head of the clan. You go
Mm-hmm.
after the big person in there. You take down that one or two big man syndrome. Because if you're going to chase everybody, you're not going to succeed. You don't have the resources to do it, right? But when you're doing it, you got to make sure it's transparent. You got to make sure that it's fair. And when we say fair, because if you're using it just for political gain, you want to hurt somebody politically, you're not really using the evidence that you have in front of you. That's what is called witch hunting. When people say witch hunting, you're simply doing it just for political gain. You don't have no true evidence. To succeed, you got to be fair. You got to be transparent. You got to make sure the person has an opportunity to defend themselves. You can't be undermining them. We know people can bribe the judiciary system, so everything has to be on the up and up. I think if you do it that way, you will gain the support of the people who have been crying to solve this whole issue of corruption. But it's a good lesson, Doc. It's a good lesson
Yeah,
for
it is. I agree. It is.
where they didn't take this thing serious.
Yes, I agree.
The puppet doing it now. They say he's witch hunting, and
Yeah,
the puppet say, "Oh, he's hunting witches." So,
yeah,
so it is what it is.
it
It is
is.
what it is.
I mean,
So,
you're right,
that's it.
Professor. I believe. I think it's a great decision he's taken. He may gain political point. I mean, not, but I think it's a great thing to do. And because we hadn't had it and they didn't take advantage of it, they didn't go after any previous official from the alien government, former official from the alien government, and they just drag on. They didn't see it as an issue. But Professor, you are in the finance business. Let me ask you this question: the government budget is pretty much high, or they had to go back and add and subtract. What area you think government should be concentrating on when it comes to like spending cutting thing to really meet up with a budget and all of that? What area you think the government should really go?
The travels, they need to hit the travels. When the former president of Mexico came to power, Obrador, the first thing he said was he was going to fly private jet. He started taking commercial. You might be on United Airlines and you'll see the president of Mexico sitting right next to you. He said he wasn't going to use the little, we call it executive mansion. He wasn't going to use it on White House, whatever the case may be. You got to cut back on travel. Travel is extremely expensive.
Yep.
Flying private jets is extremely expensive because when I was doing it, it was costing about $4,550 an hour.
Damn.
I didn't make it up. I wrote the company that was lending them the jet, and the company replied to me and told me exactly how much it was costing. That's how I knew. So you got to cut back on that. You got to go through, you see, I think there's a lot of waste because the system is not efficient. They're doing a lot of things the old-fashioned way, maybe even on papers. They're not doing things electronically. You have to move from doing things the old-fashioned way and use electronic means. You have to use technology. But the problem is, the more you become efficient, the less you will need all the people that you have on payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you try to move those people then off the payroll because you no longer need them, which in the previous administration was called harmonization, you run into another issue because then you're putting more people out of work who now cannot have money to support their family. But the system, the government itself is inefficient. So you can improve efficiency by using technology, right? So by that, you can also cut waste at the same time you're cutting waste. The other thing is you need to pay close attention to some of the concession agreements because you're getting ripped off. People like Liska, if you go to the U.S. Department of State website, FARA, by U.S. law, Liska is supposed to publish how much money they're collecting for registering ships. If you see how much Liska is spending on hotel bills, on personal expenses, on travels, on lobbyists, they are spending millions. That's money that should be going back to Liberia. People not paying close attention to that. Look at some of the other concession agreements and see whether these guys are living up to their agreements, But I think the government needs to make a concerted effort to cut back on these gas slips. All these extras they're giving these guys, buying cars every 36 months, paying for this, cell phone, all kind of nonsense amenities these guys are collecting. Pay them a fair salary and leave it like that. Liberian senators, legislators should not make more money than legislators in the state of New York. It makes no sense. Top 5 poor countries in the world, senators cannot make more money than top 5 countries in the world. It makes no sense. That's why the recurring expenditure is killing it. But there's so much that can be removed.
Yeah.
None of this thing will happen if you don't have somebody willing to stand up and say, look, we're going to bring in what we call efficiency experts and look at this stuff and then make it happen. But we need to kind of change the whole dynamics of the economy and the direction where the country is going, because here's the last point I'll make, Doc. Why is this important? The population is growing at one of the fastest rates in Africa. It's growing at over 2%. That means we're putting more women are having more kids, more families are growing and getting larger and larger. If you are not creating jobs to keep up with the number of people that's growing in the population, that means you're putting more people in poverty.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself up for serious disaster later, because you have a lot of young people who will be unemployed, who will be very angry. So,
Doug, you talk about something very interesting here before I go back to the travel cuts. Last week I was traveling to Germany and Europe, and I saw at least 8 or 9 people from Liberian government traveling for these wasteful meetings that will bring nothing back. You're giving them allowance, you're giving them hotels, you're paying for this, and not a whole lot. But you talk about Liska. I want to bring you back. Liska. Talk. What is Liska, and how does Liberia benefit from Liska? I mean, I know a lot of people watching may not know, about Liska, but I know there are events in the making. A lot of Liberian. I know even government officials that are benefiting deeply from Liska. So, I mean, if you could just give a little breakdown about Liska and how much, money that Liska bring into our country, and why shouldn't we be taking advantage of it?
Yeah, so the whole history of LISCA goes all the way back. The US government was heavily involved in setting up this whole ship registry business, right? So between Panama and Liberia, a lot of the ships that you see sailing and taking oil and taking goods around the world, they are mainly registered either in Liberia or Panama, right? The top two. LISCA, that is run by the Cohen brothers, those guys are based in Virginia, in US, in the United States. Those guys won the contract. I think they won the contract during Ellen's time. There was another company I think was servicing this thing. The other won the contract or renewed it during Ellen's time. They are in charge of collecting the fees for a lot of the ship registry and the shipping that takes place around the world. These guys are responsible for collecting the fees, and they give Liberia a percentage for managing all of this registration and fees collection. That is their key function, right? They take care of the whole maritime business. They send a little small portion to Liberia. The reason why we need to pay close attention to it is LISCA publish how much money they're sending to Liberia and how much money they're keeping for themselves. Maybe when we have I can probably show it to you, if I set up my screen properly.
1 second, Professor. I'm just going to plug my laptop. It's going.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah. So if you go into the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which is part of the United States Department of Justice, by law, LISCA should publish how much money they are collecting, because the reason they're there because they are a foreign agent. They're working for the Liberian government. They're a foreign agent, so they need to register, and they need to show how much money they are making as foreign agents for the Liberian government. At times, when I ran the numbers, the last time I actually ran the number was maybe about a year and a half ago, but I had collected almost maybe 5 more years of looking at LISCA data. LISCA collects sometimes over $100 million in fees.
Wow.
Over 100 million. At one time, there was a big thing about LISCA in the press because I think some of the legislators didn't understand what LISCA was doing, and they thought the money that LISCA was collecting was actually being paid for as lobbying fees. So a few years ago, there was a big fuss. Some of the legislators said, "Oh, why are they paying all these lobbying fees?" But they weren't lobbying fees. They just didn't understand what LISCA was doing. But LISCA sometimes collect over 100 million or so, and they send a fraction of that amount to Liberia. They pocket a lot of it to pay their salaries, to pay for their travels, to pay for lobbying fees. At one time, they even hired Ed Royce. Ed Royce,
wow,
former senator. They hired Ed Royce as a lobbyist for them. I think they were paying him $25,000 a month. This one individual.
Wow.
And they have multiple lobbyists that they do hire.
Hmm.
So there's some connection between LISCA and some of the people in the legislators who even represent LISCA in Liberia.
Yeah.
If you go to the list of the people who are sanctioned in Liberia, you'll see a lot of shipping companies that are sanctioned under Liberia. They only have Liberia there because they're registered with LISCA, But there's some other individuals in Liberia who are sanctioned, like the finance guy for Hezbollah, the terrorist organization. He's got an operation in Liberia and Sierra Leone. He's also sanctioned. LISCA collect a lot of money. A fraction, if Liberia could negotiate even a little bit more money from LISCA, that would be a huge win for Liberia. Just look at how much money they're spending for travels and hotels and a whole lot of other nonsense, So even when Eugene Nangbe was running maritime, you got to take a look to see what was going on his relationship with Liska. Hey, I'm not making it up. It's on the people's website. You just got to learn to read, go there, take a look, and you can see it. So
But,
yeah.
but what I see, Professor, is that the people in the government do not wish to bring all these to the country. They would rather go putting self interest. A lot of them benefit from LISCA individually. They benefit from LISCA individually, especially government officials. So even negotiating the right deal for the Liberian government, they will not do it because they will bury it and put their personal interest there and get money. There are a lot of people, I heard rumors that a lot of people, even officials in Liberia, that still benefit from this, that are still benefiting, still receiving from this guy. So, so
Mhm.
uh,
Oh yeah.
but it's something that Liberian people don't know about. A lot of Liberians don't talk about this. All we know that there's ships flying a Liberian flag, but we don't know actually how much money is coming into the country, how much money Liberia could get, how much this could be a help to the government in terms of the budgetary support and all of that.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it, Liska publishes this stuff. So if somebody really wanted to find out that information and sit down with President Boycott and say, look, we need to see what Liska is doing, to see how much money Liska is actually collecting, and to see if we can increase. Imagine Liska collects about $25 million and sends $2 million to Liberia.
Dang.
Look at that kind of nonsense.
Well, why is it like that, Professor?
That's how the arrangement is made. And I don't think anyone has ever challenged Liska to say, why are you guys spending $10 million on travels, on hotels, and salaries, and all this other nonsense? How many Liberians? I mean, Liberia does have a representative over at Liska, but I don't believe that person is looking at, well, I shouldn't make any assumption, but I think they may not even be looking out for Liberia's interests. So it's just one of those things where, you see, in developed countries, like if you're in the UK, if you're in France, if you're in other countries, even Ghana, look, I said Kenya, Rwanda, look, I said pay close attention to some of these things, man. They pay close attention to some of these things to see, to make sure that people out there not taking advantage of them. People do take advantage of them, but some of those countries, then they pay very, very close attention to some of those things, man.
Wow.
Let me see if I can find the last fee schedule from Liska, because I haven't looked at it in a while. So there's, you can search their filing to see how much money they collected. So let's see, Liska registration is 5490. Let me see what they filed recently, because it's something that I think the government needs to look at. But let's not get hung up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I find it, I'll put it in the.
Next time we probably need to talk about it and have a whole show on it. How the government could benefit from that. But again, I want to come back to this travel thing. It seemed like, one thing when you were talking, one thing I gather is, can you imagine if the government were hosting these trainings right in Monrovia? Paying like one person away to come to Liberia and do the training, and let people get the training there. How much money to be saving? Thousands and
Yeah.
billions of dollars to be saving every year for this heavy traveling. So, but it doesn't seem to work because you talk about gas slip.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people in Monrovia who have told me, I remember in Ellen Government, I had a friend. He said, I don't need 200-gallon gas every month, 100 gallons of gas every month in Monrovia just to drive from Broad Street to Cinco. He said, I don't need it. And they were still issuing these gas slips to these guys. And this is something that's been going on from Carver days. And we can't even see the need to cut down and save this thing, Professor Kennedy. Why do you think people are so entrenched into this gas slip thing in Monrovia that even from government to government, they can't change this?
The problem is the people you need who can change that are the people who are benefiting the most from it. So they're not going to change it. You need the legislator to actually, whatever law that is in place that makes them entitled to this, you need to have that law repealed. But it cannot be repealed because the legislators need to be involved. And because more of them enjoy the benefits, they're not going to repeal it. So we in this sort of catch-22, this kind of lack of better word, quagmire. You can't G nor haw because the people that you need to make the changes are the ones that who are benefiting. So what are you going to do? You're stuck until somebody comes along and says, look, enough is enough. They're willing to do battle with the legislature and they change it. And then when you do that now, they start paying the little foot soldiers to take the social media and try to damage you. So it's a game to play. And like when people are the pawns or the losers in this nonsense because they're not enjoying the resources in the country. You know,
Right.
it can be better, man. It can be better.
They are not, and they continue to go on. In fact, some of them take this gas slip and give it to laymen to take and sell to different places, and get the money and move on. There was one government official that I understand used gas slip to buy himself a brand new car, fuels and things that were intended for some ministry. I think it was the Ministry of State somewhere there in the past regime. This guy ended up using the gas slip that he bought himself a brand new car, selling the gas slip until he bought a car. But again, Professor Kennedy, there's audits that's taking place in Liberia. Why is it that the audits go nowhere? Why it just fall down by the wayside? Even with all this grandstanding, we arrested 5 people. They have been in jail. We got warrant out for dead, and they got big show. The police car is moving with these guys. They've been arrested. At the end of the day, nothing happened. Why? Why you think so, Professor?
Look, because we just have a weak judicial system. The system is just too weak. I mean, where else? I can't think of a time in Liberia history when the president colluded with the legislator to remove a sitting justice, right? Not to say Captain Jenny was a saint, but the fact that they colluded and came together to remove a sitting justice, it goes to show how the justice system is really, really weak. The people that who did it would argue that what they did was right, but any layman can know that it was politically motivated. That is, in fact, the pure definition of witch hunting. What happened to a cabinet, because he went to ECOWAS court and he actually succeeded. Right? He succeeded. So
but they refused to pay him.
Yeah. But again, I mean, there's no way you can develop your country if you don't set up the rule of law and enforce it. You have to enforce it in a fair, equitable manner. Other countries went through this nonsense. The British, look at all the countries in our one-time superpower. Portugal that used to travel, they had the explorer, Vasco da Gama. You had all these, you had Spain. These were all superpowers at one time. The Spanish conquerors, conquistadors. You had all of them, the UK, the British Empire. They are no longer conquerors. They're no longer superpowers in the pure sense, like how America, Russia, China, and to some extent North Korea is. These countries have fallen by the wayside. And now they're playing games with the resources. That's why there's this whole neo-colonialization thing taking place. Everybody's running now to Africa because Africa has all of these resources. Places like the Democratic Republic of the Congo that has a certain mineral that you will find in every electronic out there. Your smartphone you have right now, high probability that some of the material in your smartphone came from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But look how Congo has been in wars.
Right.
For never-ending wars. Liberia got many, many, many resources. But since the coup d'etat, has anything changed? Have we done anything differently? That's why I say, give President Boycott a chance. Let him prosecute them. The next person that come around, they will say, oh man, the first thing we're going to do audit too. So let him set the precedent.
I think he should, because it just been just so much going on, all these corruption. It's like it gotten to a point that people are not accountable no more. They don't even care. They can do anything. But again, we're beginning to see these small bombshell, even within President Boycott government, all these corrupt people violating PPCC laws and going on and just doing things on their own and calling it souls and this and that, and it has just become it just looking bad. But Professor, let me ask you. I think you will be you the guest today, and I'm in. You the special
Oh, we're
guest.
just chatting. We just talk.
Yes, you,
And
you
the
special.
people that put questions in the chat, we can pick it up too and run with it.
Yeah, anybody you have any question, just put in the chat room,
Yeah,
and
let's run with it.
we'll
We can
answer
discuss it.
any question you have. Professor is
Yeah.
an
So
expert.
we'll talk about it.
Is a financial expert. So anything you want to talk about. But another thing that comes to mind is look at how many audits been done. See how much the government has spent on these audits. You know, I don't know why it's not gaining traction. I don't know why Liberians are not really concerned. But there are a lot of audits. Do you think some people are saying that the auditor are not fair? They are probably going by what the government telling them to do instead of being independent, things like that. Do you think there's a need for independent auditor to come into Liberia and conduct these audits? You see?
So it's possible because everybody has some sort of a bias, right? Even you bring independent auditors, they can still have some bias. How do I know? Well, all the independent auditors and accounting firms in the US, they were all part of one of the largest financial scandals that took place in the United States. It led to the collapse of WorldCom. It led to the collapse of Enron, Arthur Anderson, all these major auditors then. They're supposed to be so clean and clear. But what happened? They all had their own bias, were receiving some sort of a kickback in the form of additional work and contracts. And those so-called independent auditors led to one of the largest financial scandals in US history, which eventually led to a new law called Sarbanes-Oxley that was enacted to deal with this stuff. So no matter how you think this auditor is going to be clean, they always will have a bias. But here's the trick. Challenge it. Let it go through the process. You come along and you prove that the audit report is false. Don't just sit in the background. That's why, Samuel Twain said he would have his day in court. He would challenge it. I give the brother credit. Let him come out, let him challenge it, and let's do it clear and transparent. Let him do that. But people who are sitting in the background saying, oh, it's not fair, it's not this, it's not that. Put forth your challenge. I'm not
Yeah.
disagreeing with them. I think the auditors may have their own personal bias. But you got to know how audit work, right? If I'm going to audit you, Doc, when I do my findings, first I will ask you for evidence. If I say, okay, Doc, you did a contract over here for 200,000. What's the name of the company that you signed a contract with? You give me the company name. I call the company. If the company doesn't exist, we have a problem. The company said it came in to maybe paint the entire building or put in new electrical wires or maybe put in some roads. I said, okay, let me go take a look and see what the road they put in. I go look, there's no road. That's how the audit work. I will ask you for evidence, and then I will try to verify that evidence. And then you have to explain what happened. It's not like, I ask you for documents, you don't give it to me, or I just make stuff up. That's not how audits work. If that's how they're doing audits, well, then that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
This guy is asking. Let me just put his stuff up there. McDonald Guide. He said, "I'm an advocate for trusteeship. I deeply believe that trusteeship is the only way out of the nation. What's your thought on that?" Uh, Guardian.
nah,
That's Guardian. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
trusteeship wouldn't work because you always need the trustees to babysit you. You will never get out of diapers. You will never get out of your walking chair. You need to be able to put in place a leader who can turn things around. That was how Singapore did it. That was how Ghana did it. That was how Rwanda did it. That was how the United Kingdom did it. America had a civil war. That's how all these countries did it. They just had good leadership that came up and got it done. But the trusteeship looks like a quick fix, but eventually it ends up hurting you in the long run. I mean, there have been instances where some countries have gone into trusteeship and bounced out doing much better. But overall, in this day and age, trusteeship just wouldn't work because a lot of these trustees might even come in and end up ripping you off by taking a lot of your resources. So you may end up in worse condition than you were in before. So I know the trusteeship. That's like saying Like when Zimbabwe, the currency was just a piece of crap, right? You can be sitting there eating a bowl of soup, and then you lose the price of the soup just double because the quick fix was to go full dollarization. They stop using the currency and flip over to using the US dollar. Well, that worked for them, you know, but there's also a risk. And Zimbabwe has done it a couple of times. I think Venezuela may have done it. I think Argentina, I don't know, some other countries did it. It's a quick fix, but it's not a permanent fix because the issues that led to you going to trusteeship, you never solved them. The rule of law, all those things. So when people you have entrusted your country to leave, you'll fall right back. You'll have a relapse. You'll go back to doing all the bad things you were doing before the trustees came in. So you got to fix the thing first.
Another guy, somebody asked, do you think they should have judges in Liberia, independent judges?
Nah, all the judges, if you want to know how the judicial system is in Liberia, if you go and you just search for the Human Rights Report on Liberia, they talk extensively about the judicial system. But you all know the judicial system. You can bribe people, you can bribe judges, you can do all that thing. And the judicial system is weak. And I can't think of any country that managed to develop with a weak judicial system. It just hasn't happened in history. And until you fix the judicial system, Liberia will be in the same position. Because, imagine someone can legally steal your land in Liberia. Mm-hmm. When I say legally, they can go to court, get all the legal documents because they pay a judge. Yep. They can steal your land in Liberia.
Right.
The judicial system is not fair.
It's not. So, let me see what Melvin Calder wrote. He said, LACC website was taken down according to Front Page Africa only to take Barker name from there. I don't know what he mean about that. I don't know what a Front Page even reported that to remove Barker name. I don't know.
But let's ask the audience this question and let them put the answer in the chat. How many people agree with what Barker is doing? Do you think what he's doing in terms of suspending forget the suspension of the CDL governor, but you think what he's doing in terms of going after people based on this audit report, do you think is right or is it wrong? So they hear what they
you can put your answer in. The guys in Monrovia are saying that the show is on the radio, but they will not be taking call because they're doing some renovation at the office. So the show is on the radio, it's on Truth, and it's on Hot FM as well. So they're listening. But yes, like Professor said, if you think what President Barker is doing is right or wrong, we want you to just hit the box. Actual factual say it's very right. He said it's very right. And then I've been looking. Let's see what let me take this down. Let's see what Alvin said. Alvin looking is saying that Liberians are interested in transparency, but we need an honest and balanced leader. Do you believe JMB is balanced with decision by going only after George Weah government officials? I think, Professor, that question is for you.
Maybe it's just a start. Who knows who else he will go after when he succeeds with this one? But it's just a start. We don't know yet. But you got to start somewhere. So he has started with Ellen. You will come to say why he went after certain people in LA government. He started with Taylor. So he got to start somewhere. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But you got to start somewhere at some time. So I would say, yeah, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Which is, this is a very, question is good, but why do we turn this back? President Weah was there. Why didn't he go after them? Why didn't he do it? Why did he not do it? What stopped him from going? Alvin. So think about that. Let me see what Mr. Double say again. He said, I believe going after corrupt officials shouldn't be limited to the CDC government.
I agree.
Yep. I agree as well. Let's see what Guy say here. Guy say, agree with what he is doing. My concern is that You can't trust the judicial system. Plus, I think they are selective as well.
Yeah,
Perfect. I agree.
yeah,
I
I agree.
agree. You know,
Mhm.
yep. You know, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actual factual is right. Let it get a day in court. Let's
Yeah.
test the system.
But my
Let's
brother,
test.
if they get a day in court and the judicial system not right, you don't trust it.
Yeah. Let's. You see. This is where they should allow reporters in the court so the public can see how the judge is. If like the defense attorney object to something, let's see what his objections are. Let's see whether the judge sustain those suggestions, or if he were to overrule them. Let it be transparent. Let's be live broadcast. Remember how the O.J. Simpson trial changed things around in this country? When O.J. Simpson was put on trial, everybody was focused to see if he was going to get fair trial. I agree with who said they want transparency with Alvin Logan. Let it be transparency. How do you get transparency? Let the reporters that come in the court televise the trial. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, make it open to the media, live broadcast,
I
exactly.
agree. I mean that I agree with that, Professor. That's a good point. Let it be a live broadcast. Let other people get to see what's going on in the I agree. That's the fact. Okay, let me see what Benedict is saying here. Uh, I want the government to be for all Liberians, to work for all Liberians, by including past corrupt officials too. I think this is something that we can do a survey and see how many people calling for past and current officials. That seemed to, because everybody seemed to be talking about that past official. But my question here is, why did President Weah let that slide? Why did he just let it slide? Why didn't he go after these people when they had evidence that people from the UP government were corrupt? They had all the evidence. Why did just overlook it? They were reckless about it. I don't know. Felicia Howard is saying, why did why JMB is telling the guy to take his record down from the website? He is corrupt. I don't know. I will go back. I will check from.
Well, Felicia, do you have any evidence that JMB did ask the GAC, or is it hearsay? Are you getting it from a secondhand source? Did front page offer the source, or did they notice it was taken down? So we don't know. Front page is reporting it, but they're also making a lot of assumptions. We don't know. We can say GMB told them to do it. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. Let's see the evidence. Who took what down and who said it? You know.
Julius, you on though? So,
Thank you.
Lofa, you
Yeah.
on? Okay.
All right. Well, good. I mean, thank the people. Sorry, guys. I had to turn my camera off. Just caught the fact I'm in traffic, but not driving. But I wanted to chime in on the conversation, so that's why I told to chime in a little bit. Regarding the issue of President Boykai's actions, I honestly think that President Boykai is trying to lay out the premise, right? What he's doing here is hopefully something that we can use as a precedent, something that President Weah could have done, but he purposely ignored it. And this is why I support President Boykai's action, with the hope that the next government will now consider the idea of prosecuting President Boykai and his corrupt team as well. What I believe over the past couple of days, what I have come to understand is this. I strongly believe that President Weah was trying to play, the playground style. You go to play basketball on the court. If I pick you to play on my team, I hope that you will pick me the next time I come to play too. President Weah was honestly thinking, if I don't audit and prosecute these guys. If they win an election, they probably would not go after me too, because they will feel like it's an opportunity to return the favor. Now, President Boycott, on the other hand, is saying, I may not have no interest in running again. As a matter of fact, I may just play the Biden card and just say, hey, I'm out of it. Somebody else goes. So I will use this as an opportunity to leave behind a legacy. And my legacy would be one of the presidents who fought corruption. I don't know if there have been any other president in Liberia who ever took the idea of fighting corruption to the next level. Now, could this all be a charade where he's bluffing the public with these actions, and at the end of the day, taxpayers' money are wasted and nothing is really done about it? Because if you're pursuing these people after all of the audits, you pursue them, you take them to court, and they go through all of the process. Remember, the entire court process is not free. Okay, we are paying for that process. At the end of the day, and then it just end up in thin air. Nothing comes out of it. We should then question the sincerity of it. And that's why I think, like Professor Larry said earlier, great thing for us to pursue these guys, but let us not be biased in the process. I think let us address this entire process holistically. Like the case of, if we were to talk about corruption, and I see a lot of time, and I want to end on this note. Hopefully, you or Professor Larry can interject a little bit here. I see a lot of time we focus corruption on the act of just taking money. Corruption is not simply you having to take money. Corruption is, it comes in so many forms. Okay, if you were supposed to be to work at 8 o'clock, you purposely show up to work at 9 o'clock every day, knowing that your boss is not in the office, so you can come in at 9 o'clock and then you leave. You're corrupt. So all of these things that are happening in Liberia, the recent yellow machine, okay, the stolen buses from Ghana, the stolen buses that we had to disgracefully return, those are corrupt practices. What was done about it? Nothing. Okay, the tenure positions that people are being relieved of, that's an act of corruption. You are disregarding the law. You are corrupting the system. Tenure positions are positions that people are not simply supposed to just be replaced because you don't like them or because they are not members of your political party. So what you're doing here now is you're telling us, okay, I'm just going to replace you because I don't like you. You are just as corrupt, President Boakai. So that's why we want a holistic review of the entire process. We want transparency. Like you said, let it be done in court. Let it be done openly with journalists and other reporters present to air the entire process so folks can see what is going on in court, the entire judicial process. Mr. Cummings did something that most Liberians wouldn't have done. And I want to end on this note. He said, I would test the system to the core. When folks were telling him it's a waste of your time because all these guys are doing, they're simply trying to play with your time because they understand campaign is right here and you're supposed to be campaigning, whereas here you are going in here and attending to all of the court cases. He said, the law is the law. Let me follow the law and the result will speak for itself. Today, we can honestly say we wasted taxpayers' money for no reason, all because we were on political charade. An innocent man walked free, the taxpayer lose on it, and then the corrupt few, the CDC, the UP, they end up as what we see them today, celebrating but crying at the same time. I end on that note for them.
Well, Professor, maybe you want to chime in? What Lofa just said? Are you there, Professor? I'm not hearing you.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, so I mean, the key point that Lofa made was the president may be just doing this also because he knows there's no quid pro quo. He doesn't need political capital to run again in 2029. And some people say he might run in 2029. But by doing this, he doesn't believe that there will be a need to worry about, he being audited come 2029, which is fine, no matter how they're doing it. But the thing that people are saying in the chat in terms of the GAC and all that stuff coming down, I think there are a few things in the pipeline that are coming, right? If you go to the World Bank's website, back in June, I think it was June 24th of this year, the World Bank gave Liberia a loan and a grant for a project that's going to create some transparency in a lot of this governance and auditing and all these things that those projects would be visible. It's a huge project. It's like $25 million project or so. That project would allow regular citizens to see all these audit reports. It will be there for you to see. So nobody will be taking anything down because the project is a World Bank sponsored project. So if they're not doing it according to how the World Bank is asking them to do it, they're going to end up losing that money. So, and government are known for taking things down, putting things up. Because I remember a few years ago when the CBL published the annual report, and we reported that it was one of the largest budget deficits in Liberia history. Within a matter of hours, the CBL took down that report. So I don't know if it was TWE or who said it, but we simply said the government called the CBL and told them to take down that report. Now we know the CBL is supposed to be impartial, but they're not technically impartial. So Lofa made a good point, right? He made a good point that the president might be doing this because he doesn't plan to run in 2029, but that's good for Liberia. It's good for Liberia. Let him do it. Let him do it. It's set a precedent that the next person coming, the first thing they're going to do is to do audits. But you know what we need to do rather than, audits are reactive. Because even if you succeed with the audit, you succeed in the prosecution, the money is gone. The chance of you recovering that asset is like slim to none. Because you spend money in putting people on trial, then you got to go spend money for asset recovery. And like what Doc said at the beginning of this show, you might end up having to do asset recovery from the asset recovery team. So you'll be in trouble. If you got to do asset recovery for the asset recovery team, you're wasting your time. So we need to be more proactive, right? We need to put the mechanisms in place to make sure that people can't steal money. People shouldn't be handling cash and checks and all that nonsense, So we need to kind of change things a little differently. What's Billy just saying over there?
Nothing is needed from the sake of posterity. We need it for the sake of posterity. Ability,
I think though, there to some extent, I think we do have. I don't even want to reference them as mechanism because I think there are policies put in place, but are they enforced? Like the case of the asset declaration, right? I think it is a requirement for a specific criteria of jobs that offer in whether executive level or whatever in government. It is required for the sake of transparency. It is required of you to declare your asset and hopefully publish it. Okay. And in my definition, I think the idea of asset declaration is to make information available to the general public. Now, unfortunately, for a government that claimed to ascend to power with the idea of transforming and fighting corruption, listening to the ratio for those who have declared their assets, that tells you that those policies that are in place, they are not being enforced. I can rest assure you today, and I would put my neck on the line, but I wouldn't do it. I would use Professor Lowry as an example, okay, considering him as a man with integrity, had he been placed in the position of the president today, hairs would have been rolling all over. Why did you not declare your asset? You're out. You're either out or you're suspended. One or the other. You're either losing your job because you purposely chose to disregard the mandate I ran on. So you're out. And not to just say even Professor Larry alone, even you, Dr. Peabody, you would have frowned on these kind of behaviors because you know where we are. Now, speaking of President Buarque, the same things people cried about before his ascendancy to the presidency, President Buarque appeared to have been the most humble soul. They claimed that his lifestyle was so just a more normal lifestyle. The man came into power. Now he's printing his name on his shirt, on his forehead, just like when we were right. You know, printing his name on his forehead, on his arm, on his shirt, living flamboyantly. President Weah did it. Every time President Weah wore shoes, we had it on the social media. The price of the shoes. That tells you the mindset of the kind of people we're dealing with. So I think the policies are in place. It's just how they are implemented, how they are forced to make sure, or enforced, excuse me, how they are enforced to make sure that everyone abides by the rules. But unfortunately, these things are not happening. So they are there. They're on the book. But people purposely disregard all of those things because they feel like it's in their best interest to steal. And President Buarque is a prime example of it. This man is just literally, I mean, he's buying into all the bad practices. He's now becoming the next idea definition of corruption. And like I said yesterday, and I'll say it again every other time, Unity Party invented corruption, and no one in Liberia will ever be better at corruption than the Unity Party. Thank you.
Well, welcome, God. Welcome, Sylvester. The new, how you call it? New what? How you call that?
They call themselves the neo progressive.
Welcome.
Don't say they
the
call
party.
themselves. Don't say they call themselves.
Well, let me land there. You can kind of that. The neo progressive, aka the politician. I mean.
You just haven't known. I thought you would have said the ideological thinkers.
But guys, you've been following the show. Welcome, Robert. Robert, welcome. You've been following the show. You know, Professor has been our expert here tonight, talking about how government can handle spending cuts. Talking about how they can deal with LISCA in working on the amount of money or renegotiating government share. I mean, the amount of money that LISCA brings in every year, and government they're receiving a penny of it. All of that. So we've been talking for different topics. I'm sure you guys have been following the show. So I want now we are hearing that the government has taken down the audit. LSCC have taken down the website and to remove Buarque. All the others doing the UP town is being taken down. I don't know how true it is alleged. I mean, people are saying it. A lot of people are saying it. But I just want you guys to kick it. Robert, since you just came, I want you to start, and then we'll go to Sylvester. You've been following all what we've been talking about.
Let Sylvester go. Let Sylvester go.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, I mean, the process about the particularly first the audit process about if LCC would take down audit. Let who share the LCC is not really an audit institution. So what LCC does is that they carry out what we refer to as some forensic financial investigations. So and in some cases they take years from now some issue intelligence coming from the audit process where the Supreme Audit Institution GSC will go and audit. And as per the General Auditing Commission, the GSC, there is an institutional process in the GSC, and I worked with that institution before. And I can vouch for them that the level of professionalism is very hard there in the GSC. They set a standard as to how the audit process is. And so all of those things, the GSC got a very structured organigram and part of that is that
upon a correction, it was the GSC, not LOC. Sorry, it was my.
Okay. Now the GSC is the only supreme audit institution we have. We did establish the RAA, the Internal Audit Agency, also there to do what we call the move and do preventive type of process, so that we put into place this internal control mechanism that the IAA went to do. But the GSC, as a supreme audit institution, there's a very well structure we have in place in the GSC. So most of those documentation, most of the audit process, those audit reports are well archived in the GSC. The GSC got a very systematic process, and I can say to us here that anyone that is saying that is not true, the GSC will always produce those reports. As a matter of fact, if you went to the GSC website, the website time to time is being improved upon to ensure that the quality of the reports will be stored in a weird manner that whenever you want, you just hit to this here and click on that process. So all of those audit reports will still be available. The GSC will have those things available. If there's some technical issues unfolding, basically you move back to the GSC RT folks. We have some very wonderful RT guys of the GSC. One of them that used to be my own RT teacher. Right, so moving through the line and like Harris, the rest of the folks in the institution. So the process about trying to temper with audit report, I'm not inclined to believe into those things. Sometimes it's just part of the shenanigans that is unfolding around and part of the propaganda also that will want to come out. I don't think anyone will attempt to do that. If you attempted to do that with the GSC, you need to see, because we do have a very wonderful structure. The current Auditor General we have, he also filed the patent, and if you saw, and that's I was very shocked today. I saw the report, the CBA report, a report about the alleging almost 100 plus million, something plus $1 million issue. I saw the report and the Auditor General opinion in that report. He's a very brilliant and smart Auditor General. So I don't want to think he's going to compromise the Supreme Audit Institution in the name of trying to delete certain reports, but backdating from certain time, trying to trash those reports. No. The GSC been supported before by the EU Technical Support Fund. And I want to believe, as listening to the professor talking about the World Bank supposed to be coming to do other things, I didn't get that point well, but I think they want to suit with themselves in a way that they will still have that kind of integrity, because we talking about integrity is repetition problem. They don't want those things to perforate their reputation moving forward as the only supreme audit institution in our country. So I'm of the mindset that some of those things are unfolding. Yes, people will attempt to do a lot of things. They're demagogues, those demagoguery thought process, and individual we have shared thinking we want to do those kind of a line, but I don't think it's the country we find ourselves today that people will want to come in and do this kind of a thing to see and will blow things up. Accountability is very firm in the country, and I want that person, I believe in that. And quickly, listen to Lofa, what he says is actually the point. I hope this is not a cosmetic process. This process is holistic, it's sincere. We need to allow the process to play out and allow the court system to function in a very independent manner, void of any political interference or any kind of a manipulation, right? Because we shouldn't hanker on those kind of alliance as things and move to just plunge the country into another problem. We should allow the system to work and allow people to move through the system and go through that. If you find yourself into something, that is an investigation. If they said that this person did this and did that, but I thought, gentlemen, we should take some time to go through the report coming out of the GSC. There's some terrible the report, so we want to analyze as to what actually unfolded in some of those things.
Robert, Professor Gaga, welcome.
Thank you. Look, why are they trying to rearrange other reports? These reports have been there for a very, very long time. If you have nothing to hide and you are not trying to create any suspicion or whatsoever, why are you rearranging report? Isn't it concerning that they are only arranging report from the Ellen-led government? Why? Is it not concerning that they are only releasing rearranging reports from 2012 to 2017? Why is that? And so, look, I think that the government is in a position where they want to fight corruption, and I think that we should applaud any administration who wants to fight corruption. But like I said the other day, I don't think that they are credible themselves to fight corruption because they have proved to be themselves massively corrupt. And a lot of people, like myself, don't trust the system. Um, and it raises the same concern about this targeting. Okay. You know, I don't see anyone in the past administration and or partisans from the Unity Party who worked in the George Weah administration. I don't see anyone being arrested for corruption. Are they saying that only seditions and the top dogs in CDC that carried out corruption? And so the government have got to be fair. They've got to ensure the general public that they are not targeting political opponents. They have to do that. And removing and or rearranging audit reports from 2012 to 2017, while everything else seems to already have been arranged, again raises doubts about, are they trying to hide something? Is it a coincidence that they chose to rearrange audit reports now? And they have not even explained the whole essence of that. They talk about easy access. What is the easy access? What does that mean? And so, look, I'm all for the fight against corruption. I'm 100% for it. I think for too long we have not held corrupt officials accountable for their actions. But when you have a man himself who have not conducted himself, with the level of integrity himself. Look, Joseph Boakai, for instance, and we talked about this, had the choice to resign in 2011 when there were reports all over the place about how corrupt Ellen Johnson Sirleaf-led government was, and Ellen even admitted to it. I may not have agreed with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf on a lot of things, but she admitted that she did not think corruption was ingrained in our society. She said that. And people who criticize her lack of fight against corruption did not understand how terrible corruption had been in our society, and that it was beyond public service. She said it. And so why Joseph Boakai did not resign if he knew that these things did not reflect what he stood for? Where did he get the $100,000 from as president-elect? A man who was living on loans, and suddenly he has $100,000 to give out. I mean, there've been a lot of things happening with regards to corruption. I think Lofa alluded to the fact that even as we speak, there are people within his government have not declared their access. What actions are they taking? So sometimes it's not just about who's been arrested. Sometimes it's not just about, yes, we want to fight corruption and we will hold those accountable. It's the underlying action or the silent, if I may, is what has not been done that raises doubt. If everyone that's been arrested, guys, has a voice in CDC, everyone that have been arrested so far is a sedition. Are you telling me the only sedition that corrupt? Everyone so far. So we want a system that is fair, and we want a system that is balanced. We want a system that is fair, and we want a system that is balanced. Whether it's normal or not, the fact of the matter is, how is it a coincidence that they are only rearranging audit reports from 2012 to 2017, Tavi? It raises question. And they still have not explicitly explained the whole logic behind this. They have not explained that, especially when people have been talking about why is it that the CDC government, the Unity Party, have not gone as far back. Some of you have been talking about limitation, term of limit, whatever the case is. And we can argue, yes, CDC should have done its due diligence, and CDC should have, prosecuted and fought corruption. But I would hate for anyone to think that CDC should have just gone after Unity Party government because of political reasons, because they were their key opponent at the time. And so I'm for fighting corruption 100%. And again, if Samatua and others are taken to court and the government have the evidence to prove what is alleged, then I will give this government credit. Because if anyone did anything as alleged, then they should be held accountable for it. But until we create an independent judiciary system where people like myself and others will feel like those that are accused of corrupt crimes are squarely being accused based on their action and not political reasons, until we can create a judiciary branch of government that is functioning at an independent level and not taking instructions from the executive mansion, until we create a system where no one gets spared, where the fast leads is where arrests are made, until these things happen and everyone is being arrested somehow has a huge role in CDC, it's a sedition, and it will always appear as it's a target. And I'm not going to use the word witch hunt because I don't want Joseph Barker to have a next speech and then say something else about the, only witch have been hunted. But it appears that certain individuals are being targeted, and we have yet to see the facts with regards to these allegations. Thank you.
Well,
let me come in a quick second.
Yeah, Professor, go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I always like to do, I'm such a skeptic. I'm like a born skeptic, right? When people say things, I always like to challenge it because I want to learn. I always want to learn. I always want to understand what's going on. So the whole business of I just ran a quick search and I'm able to pull up 108 audit reports going back from 2008 to 2017. It's on the GAC website. I posted a link in the chat. So if you click on that link and tell me that I'm looking at the wrong GAC website or the wrong audit reports, then I would be a little bit more concerned that, okay, I need to learn something new. So the link is in the chat. If one of you guys can go in the chat and click on that link and tell me, are these the audit reports that were removed? So we can get to the bottom of this whole audit thing. This is not something that I would normally do, but because it just seems to be kind of driving the conversation, so let's just see if we can sort that out. So there's a link in the chat. So I just need one of you guys.
Was it removed or they edited the? I mean,
click the link and then tell me if that's.
They themselves have indicated, unless they don't know what they're doing, Professor, that they've removed from 2012 to 2017. They said that, and they gave a reason why they said that. This was coming from,
because if you look at the link that I put in there, you can see audit reports from 2008, 2009, 2010, all the way up to 2017. So you could be right. Maybe they don't know what they were doing.
Professor Larry, you see the reason why.
Lofa, did you get a chance to click the link?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I just clicked the link. I'm looking.
I click it, and I can definitely get on.
Yeah, from June 30th, 2015.
15.
June 30th, 2014. June 30th,
all the way to June 30.
So the reports are on the website. Maybe. Yeah, go ahead, Lofa. I'm sorry.
What I was just going to say is, to avoid the level of concern or people being so skeptical of these kind of things. That's why before you hit that submit button, you're in technology, you know it, you must verify. And that's why Microsoft introduced the second verification option. Are you sure you want to do this? So when people start to be a little bit more concerned about why did they remove it, the justification for that cannot be because it happens all the time. Audit, when you conduct audit, you can always reverse it. No, because it becomes a little bit more concerning. So if it was updated, then that's good. That means the information is still available, but people have the right to be concerned about why was it removed the first time in the first place. And I think probably this is where Robert is coming from. And I don't want to just jump the gun here, but that could be.
Let me ask you a quick question. Yeah, Doc and Lofa and Robert. When I see Kelvin Allen asking a question. When you click on the link, does it open up an actual report? When you click on
it shows financial statements. When you click on it, when you click download, it shows financial statement.
But it does open up to answer Kelvin's question. So it's there. So something is kind of fishy with the whole situation. But let's
Exactly.
not get hung up on it.
Yeah,
It does, but I don't think it's the full report.
All right, let me go take a look and see here.
It's 16.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
16. It's
opening
16
it, and I
pages.
see a lot of report coming up though.
Listen, the GSC did not temper of any report, and again, sometimes we can move with information without doing thorough verification of certain things. The GSC won't do that. They wouldn't do that. They would temper up their reputation. They would not go for no reason to get rid of report. The auditor general that I know,
But Sylvester, we didn't say that. The deputy auditor for the deputy auditor Wesley Nukin, he said that the GOC RT crew explained what was happening. I quote: "The audit reports are available, but the RT department is sorting them for easy access. We do not hide audit reports. Our task is to conduct audits and submit findings to the legislature. It is the blah 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 blah." We didn't say that. So if the audit report was still available, then you could have just said, "Look, it's available. There was a little editing done, whatnot," and left it alone.
But Rabbi, exactly what he just read that. So he didn't. When he said the RT. No, so what? Wesley, you come.
So nobody knows. No one knows.
No, I'm not saying that. I say if those kind of speculation are even going out. JC cannot. I'm saying I'm trying to defend the institution because I know this institution, right? So I'm saying to you, even those that got the mind to speculate that way, they can do that in the GSC. Wesley, you can be in the GSC for a very long time. He came to the GSC in 2007 as Deputy Auditor General, Acting Auditor General, back Deputy Auditor General, Deputy Auditor General. He's the longest serving Deputy Auditor General in the history of the GSC currently. So he's a very competent person. He understands the GSC, right? So beyond that, when the structure started up, the whole line of the RT department of the GSC, the dollar reform went through the department because it's critical. As part of the process, people will want to temper with reports. And this is very key here in terms of validating and maintaining and storing the audit reports, because those audit reports are not only news for the business of history or other things, but normally in some cases, people use those audit reports to go to court.
For what? Why?
The preservation of the report to be intact. Yeah, go ahead. It's very important. Go ahead.
God, can I share my screen so we can put this thing to bed?
Huh?
Can I share my screen so we can put this thing to bed?
Do that, Professor. Definitely.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can just kind of see, what's going on. Let me know when you can see it. You can see the screen?
No.
You're not sharing it.
Oh, okay. Let me just make sure. So I did click the share. I'm going to try it again. So let me hit share screen, and I'm going to select this screen to share. I don't need the audio. So let me know if you can see it.
I can't see. Hold on. I'll add it on there. I'll add it on
there. I can see it. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, great. So
the audience, now we can see it.
Here's a list of audit reports. Yeah, from the GSC's website. And I know some people are asking, what can you see? I mean, if I click download to open it, it actually opens a report from 2018. So the reports are there, but like people are saying, maybe someone made a statement, or there may be more to it that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So, and I know we like to kind of draw a conclusion. That's what I was saying early on, before even actually checking. I was saying, well, we don't know. Some people were saying JNB told them to take it down. I said, we don't know yet. It's always good to maybe get some evidence and verify it, because this is all 2014, 2012 GAC report audit. So I don't know. I just thought that maybe we can just take a look at it, and then maybe we can move on from that. But I'm just a born skeptic, folks. That's me, Yeah. So I like to see for myself sometimes, which may be dangerous, but
Look, I was reading another story here in from the NSA. It'll be very damaging if that is true. But I think the front page Africa had just come as a government dissing itself. But let me share what an official of the Boycott government. This will not be true. But they talk about they was from one of the managing director LPRC, Mo Ali, and then I'm just quoting him. This is not. I don't know how true it is. But he said EPS budget. He said we as EPS spent $14 million in 2022. In 2023, it was 16 million. JMB budget for 2024 is 8.3 million, two times less than what we have spent in 2023. I've been hearing from some top officials at NSA that there were a lot of people from the former administration. That I heard from very top official at the NSA. There were a lot of people. There were a lot of people from the former administration who were actually getting paid 15, 20,000, 12,000, 10,000. This came from people directly with the NSA. I'm not going to get a name or say I believe it, but it came directly from people within the NSA. Some people who have authority to like see the different payroll and who are getting paid and stuff like that. So it seemed like we are all here for a long haul, especially on this. I mean, I see a lot of people are saying that Boakai is witch hunting. You know, I'm up for bringing corrupt people to justice. But also, the one question I keep asking and people cannot answer: why did the previous administration not audit the Unity Party government? Why did they not do that? You know, I mean, the Unity Party government said, "Hey, we are coming to audit you. You had your chance. 6 years you could have audited us. You did not. Why did they not do the same? Okay, now you sit in the back and crying. Why you didn't do it? UP had a lot of stuff on it. They had a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of corruption in the Ellen government.
Yeah, that Peabody. To another point, leave the audit process first and foremost. I was myself a little concerned also. There was 66 audit reports available when President Weah took office. 66 audit reports, 66. And part of those when the United Party government left office. 66 of those audit reports are available. I thought, and some of those reports were actually damning on the United Party folks. Some of them were basically reiterated damning on yeah. Some of those reports, they were not, they were okay. But again, the government's selected to just disengage and forge ahead. There were actually reports available, and the PAC has some hearing. The Public Account Committee has some public hearing on some of those reports. But again, those hearings didn't they didn't basically anything coming from some of those hearings. But again, if we were to go to the line, it's incumbent upon now. Again, the issue about going to court on the issue, I don't know if it's the government that announced it, of the acting on the issue of the report of the Attorney General is selected to just move with the indictment process. I don't know, but normally in our country history, sometimes the presidency can push to take some very firm decision and instruct whosoever that is responsible to carry on, because the prosecutorial responsibility is within the powers of the Attorney General. And so again, maybe it came from the instruction from the president to the Attorney General to move on some of those things. But I mean, where we find ourselves today, and we say, and this should not be the culture of a particular administration coming to decide to say, this is what. And I believe the way this started now, future administration are going to start this process and consistently move with it. If you came in and before you take due to the 10 or no whatsoever, you see the structure of most of the report, if some of the report are damning you, you ask your Attorney General to move and prosecute.
Yeah, but Sylvester, here is my fear. My fear is it turns into a tick for tat. This is my fear. You did it to me, and then I'm gonna come after you. We don't want,
and you're right. And then it may lead to witch hunting. You're right.
Exactly.
And
we don't want that. Yeah. We don't want a system, Doc, where now if CDC were to be given power again, do you think that, as Sylvester just said, do you think that they're going to now forge ahead?
No.
They're going to come in with particular intention to go after Joseph Boakai, to go after his case. They're gonna do everything that they can to go after certain individuals in government. It turns into a circle, and we don't want that. We want a system that fights corruption, not because they're targeting people for political reasons, but because it is the right thing to do in the interest of the people. To do that, you need not only a leader who is a true reflection of of not being corrupt, or whose action is reflects, that independent look. Right now, people don't feel at ease when it comes to Unity Party fighting corruption. I'm not even talking about who's president. We are talking about Unity Party here, for God's sake. One of the most notorious corrupt administration in the history of Liberia. We can talk about why CDC did not prosecute these guys, why they did not go after them, why they did not fight corruption, or why they themselves became corrupt. We can talk about all of this stuff, right? But a lot of people don't feel like it's just like Donald Trump, a convicted felon, becomes president, and now you want us to believe that he's some serious guy to fight when it comes to these crimes. He himself cannot be trusted. He's not credible. Joseph Boakai and Unity Party is not the party to be. They're not credible. But what bothers me here is what seems, and I don't use that lightly, to be targeting certain individuals because of political reasons. We don't want that. You're wasting taxpayer money. You're wasting all of our time because you want to go after your political opponent. Look, we want to see these claims substantiated. We want the facts to these allegations. Maybe this is how you calm some of us down. All that I've seen so far is a lot of talk, it's a lot of smoke, but I don't see nothing to say, you know what, these guys already got a case yet. They have a case yet. Why was Charles Sirleaf not prosecuted? Why? Did the government not have the evidences in court? Why was he not prosecuted? Why was the former governor of the bank not prosecuted? Why?
But who do you blame for that, Robert? Who do you blame?
Huh?
Who do you blame for that?
I mean, I blame. Of course, the CDC government. You have some blame, and this argument that, well, we decided to, in the interest of peace. The former president have said that he felt at that time he needed to focus on growing the economy. He needed to focus on Liberian people's business. Look, I don't agree with that.
Well, what part of growing the economy it's by bringing transparency and holding other people accountable for this.
Absolutely, I agree, and I don't agree with that statement because you can chew gum and walk at the same time.
I think CDC was just reckless in persecuting these people. Now it's coming back to haunt them. To be honest, they were reckless in doing it. I mean, I'm not saying that Boakai government. I mean, I don't trust Boakai government. Look what happened. He illegally suspended the governor, the central bank, and put his own nephew there to be acting governor. That's what he did. He put his own nephew there right now to be the head. Okay, and then you didn't even go by the central bank, the act creating the central bank, but you went and suspended the man illegally, and then put your nephew there right away to head the central bank. I mean, I don't trust that government. I don't trust the UP, but I just think cities were just too reckless. Let these people go because they were all friends or would know each other. Some want to L you and did it, and it's coming back to haunt you now. And there's a lot of damaging thing I'm looking at here that will embarrass the CDC. I'm serious. They could even cost them not having the opportunity to win another election because there is a lot of damaging thing. I've seen individual names, very close individual that got thousands of dollars on payroll. Some are getting $15,000 a month, $30,000 a month from NSA. Individual name that I can't call. So this will be very embarrassing to the CDC government.
But somebody said the last time, right? When this question about, look at Joseph Boakai house right now. Joseph Boakai has lived in that same house for many, many years. And look at the number of work that have been done in the house.
Well, look at the lavish party they have the other day.
Yeah, look at the attempt to have sellers. Those folks who've been selling along the house for a very long time to relocate, $3,000 per seller. I mean, that's no fun. That's no small money, right? And the first question someone asked was, well, has the president not gotten paid in the last 6 months he's been working? But guess what? When George Weah broke his houses down within that same period, people thought that was corruption because, look, the antics were terrible. I mean, that's not something that I would have done, right? But imagine if Seditian were asking, well, guess what? Just because the president broke his house down to renovate it, is he not getting paid as well, right? Could they be, So that's corruption right there, right? But when it comes to these guys, they will make all of the excuses. Oh, you can't say the president because he has tendered his house and you have all these, or he's president now, so that's not corruption because he's getting paid. But did we question whether or not George Weah was getting paid? No one has actually proved if the funds that renovated his house on the North Shore or anything else came from. I mean, look, We have got to stop this. Look, prosecute people based on the facts. Let the public trust you. We want a system where the public can really trust you to say, you know what, we trust, forget the president. We trust the judiciary system to do the right thing because they're functioning apolitically. Right now, I can't say that. I can't say that. And until Joseph Boakai start going after his own people, what is the limitation yet? What is the status limitation on these other reports yet? The only sedition that you're going after. What is this? Until he start going after his own people, his buddies that have been corrupt, until he starts holding his government officials accountable for not releasing their own the access declaration, then some of us would not believe that this guy is serious about fighting corruption. This seems like a target on certain people for political reasons.
Honestly, a Sylvester will come in, but look, man, this man don't even have the willpower to fire his officials. He been 6 months into this government, almost 7. This man could not even declare his own asset, and make it public until people begin to cry and cry before he did it. Now he got government officials who are 6 months. They cannot declare the asset. Only 26% of the officials declare the asset, and we're sitting there taking it. I mean, so you can't trust him. But the only thing I keep talking about here is what stops CDC from doing it. Sylvester coming.
You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. The entire process here is that it's sometimes a difficult issue to venture into. I'm one person that believes that the government bureaucracy is a deep bureaucracy. And again, when you are in the system, sometimes you be surprised to not, even when you're in the system, there are certain things you wouldn't understand. It's a very deep process that, and not only that is deep, it's very convoluted again. So we will have to sometimes hit at the back to understand most of those things. And when you are out, you try to do some very deep sense of analysis, of reasoning behind the scene to understand as to how most of the situations unfolded then. But yes, this process about moving in and saying this is our time, and we're going to hit the other, and Liberia is almost pushing into what I'm currently observing into a two-party state. So we basically going to be versus the side A and side B, the CDC and that of the United Party. So we have to now decide on saying where we're going to struck the balance in terms of how the governance process should be handled. Now, if Ambassador Boakai ran on the matter of change and the matter of rescue, and trying to fight corruption is very important here, that we balance the track here, that how we intend to fight corruption. We need to open the process and move throughout and see how we want to do this. It should not be. And for me, and as he said, witchcraft will be afraid of people hunting them. I do understand witchcraft, those things, as to how you want to say it, but the process is not only witchcraft will be afraid of being haunted. But this process is straightforward. It's a political issue. We find ourselves, if you came in because you're a major contender, your major political adversary, if you trying to accuse him or put charges against them, you have to act in accordance with the laws and ensure that you have all of the evidences to adduce against the individual, group of individuals in court. But to just come out and say those things again, and that's why I would say from the perspective here, I wouldn't jump the gun to just run to conclusion and say, hey, this. But what I would do, I would send the caveat that it's important that we have to do this on fact-based evidence on the issue about getting material evidence to move to court so that we can have these people, now that they are indicted, before indicting them, use some hardcore material evidence to indict them, and you have to use those things in court as a probable cause to move for prosecution. It's prosecution that will move in with those things and go and fight the case and win the case is good. But I don't want us again charging group of Liberians on the basis of sentiments, on the basis of just yes or we want they are our political adversary, and then move to court and the juror come in and try to say, hey, this case is missing the case on the basis of those kind of lines. So We will have to be very mindful as to this process. I feel the fight against corruption will have to be holistic. The fight against corruption, so there should be no sacred cow here. There should be no sugar daddy honey move process. And so I will collectively want to say here that we have to engage the process and engage the process very clearly, and it will be a very inclusive process that if you are hooked, you hook on the basis of facts, not on the basis of sentiments.
So, Dr. Peabody, let me just chime in here really quick, if I could. A couple things that I feel like needs to be, first of all, dismissed here is the claim that I guess the political dynamics is now moving towards a two-party system with CDC and UP. The only thing that people would now consider here is that there are two political parties in Liberia that are considered corrupt. And the two that are known for corruption, they are the CDC and UP. One invented corruption and the other, implemented to some extent. But the inventor honestly moves with the idea. And so the inventor understands and knows how to, navigate his or her way with the system. So this whole thing about people assuming or people coming with this narrative that we now have or we are gravitating towards a two-party system, I want us to dismiss that going forward, because there are so many other political parties in Liberia, regardless of whether they are vocal, regardless of whether they are seen as others are doing right now. That does not negate the fact that they exist. And who understand or who knows as to whether they are strategizing as to how to address or respond to some of these things. So we cannot simply sit here and say, yes, it appears as though we were gravitating towards a two-party country. No, it would never happen in Liberia, especially considering the fact that two of the parties that you're referencing, both of you have been given the opportunity and you have shown to be no more than other. As of now, we are not even discussing which one of you or which one of the political parties, let me not say you, I'm sorry, which one of the political parties was effective at transformation. Okay, we cannot sit here, we're not sitting here and discussing which one of the two actually evolved to some extent. But here we are discussing which of the two is more corrupt. You see how backward we actually, instead of progressing, we regress to some extent. We are in the 21st century, 2024, and we are still discussing how to prosecute corrupt government officials. So let me close on this note. There are many other political parties, and Liberians will make the decision come 2029 to show to both institutions that they deserve better than a bunch of corrupt individuals who have no understanding of governance, instead corrupt practices.
Yeah, so quickly, the process quickly. The statement about we are almost headed to a two-party process, that cannot be dismissed, my dear brother. It's evident by what we've been seeing in our past electoral cycle. That's what we're saying. I didn't dismiss other political institutions. My intent is not to do that. I'm reminded of the responsibility of the Constitution. What the Constitution reminds us of is that we are a constitutional democracy. We are a pluralistic democracy. The plurality of different political institutions. I'm aware of those things. I'm aware of the plurality of the political party, the political culture. But what we're saying on the basis of performance, on the basis of those two parties are now from 2005, since we got off from the civil crisis, since 2005, we came back to constitutional democracy. We've now seen those two parties dominating the political landscape in this country. That's what I said. I didn't say we are a two-party state. I said it seems to be we are headed to a two-party process. You will still have the cross line of some of those political parties. The proliferation of different political institutions will be there eventually. Those sprinkled political party. Someone like moving, like someone else will be moving around, like spring chicken, and the rest of it. They will come and merge with that of those two political institutions. That's why I say it seems to be. So we cannot outrightly, my brother, dismiss them. I know we do have spring chicken political parties around the place, right? But it won't help the process. We're still going to come back to those two institutions, and those two institutions will take the activities, and then the rest of the party will merge, and we're going to move through the system. That's my thought process about it, and it's not that it's evident, but the recent major political results that we witnessed from 2005 to just last year, 2023.
I'm glad that you mentioned the most recent political result, considering the fact that the entire process is flawed.
Caribou is here. Let's try to get Caribou in. Welcome, Caribou. Welcome back. Are you back in the
thank you, gentlemen. First, let me thank you guys for holding the program up for more than a month while I was in Liberia. But it was unfortunate for me to get on the show when I was in Liberia. Actually, my location does not have good network. Toga even visited my house, and he realized that I don't have a network. I couldn't get on Facebook. I couldn't get on the internet. I hardly could make even local call from my house. So it was challenging for me a bit, So but I'm back, and I'm gonna be regular as I was before I went to Liberia. Okay. But let me just pass and make a quick comment on the exchange between Lofa and Peewee. There's something that two things can be true and also two things can be false. But for those of us who look at data, here's what I will say. The question of the two parties, I argue on the show a few months back that in 2029, if Joseph Boakai is not on the ballot, George Weah is not on the ballot, and you have new faces on the ballot, on the national ballot, to contest, and it boils down to only CDC and United Party, it will be fair now to argue that the country is firmly moving towards that. Here is what has happened since 2005. When George Weah entered the race, he entered the race in 2005 as an icon. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf also entered the race as an icon. Somebody already known who has contested election in 1985 and had a contested election. She went to jail. She was a political prisoner, and she was on BBC. BBC is the most listened to channel in most African countries, including Liberia. So these two persons had large followers, and they ended up leading their party to the final round. Okay, so that has been the situation. And in 2005, Joseph Boakai was on the ballot with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Had George Weah kept his running mate, I think one Johnson, in 2005, with him throughout, while he's facing out, maybe that person could also be a household name. So until we see those traditional people who started appearing on ballot in 2005 are no longer appearing on ballot in 2029, and it ends up with the two institutions, we can safely probably argue that way. But for now, I will not jump to that conclusion yet. That's what I would say. But while driving, I listen to Robert, I listen to Peabody. You guys are talking about this other report and what have you. Here, what I will say, not taking you guys back to issue you have already passed. I will say for the record here, I will say something that some people may not like. I would like to see a situation where the CDC is decimated through a legal process in a web of corruption that they engage in, so that a grassroots party that was betrayed by greedy people, those greedy people can end up and rot in jail. In 2021, I sat in a hotel room here in Washington, D.C. with Nathaniel Fallow McGay, and I said to him, McGay, leadership is about symbolism, and leadership is about the people. You guys have taken power. The Howard Greaves death, in my view, was a political murder under the Unity Party government. You should reopen it. The Michael Allison Memorial was a political debt under the Unity Party government. You should reopen it. You should go after a local audit. You should identify key institutions headed by Unity Party's tower. And they have enough audit report on GSC website to go after this. That will show to you, you distinguish yourself from the former ruling party. My dear response to me, and I can say for the public now, was Washington had asked them. In fact, he said, Madam Thomas Greenfield said they should not go after Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in retirement, which in my mind was false because they were bent on stealing themselves. They didn't want to go after that. Today, what they fail to do, if Bwaka United Party is doing, is good because Bwaka is trying to set himself apart from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf United Party. Because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf United Party, it was a corrupt Unity Party. If today under Bwaka leadership, he's trying to set himself from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Unity Party, it's a good thing. But I think you should go further to decimate the hierarchy of the CDC that are caught in corrupt act through the legal process. That's what I think they should do. When that is done, the grassroots members of the CDC will recognize that their revolution was misused, mismanaged by greedy gods, and they will seek alliance with credible Liberian politicians with integrity to fight the Unity Party, a corrupt party, in 2029. That's what I think.
Let me come in play if you don't mind, because I think Kellebu said a lot. But let me start off with when he said Joseph Boakai is trying to distinguish himself, and Joseph Boakai is trying to fight corruption. And if that's what Joseph Boakai is trying to do, that's commendable. I want a government to fight corruption. But let's set the record straight. If you had a Dr. Peabody leading the ticket of Unity Party, and he did not play an integral role in the corrupt Unity Party under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, then your point would be very legit, and I'll be all for it. But what you are trying to do is an attempt to separate the corrupt Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Unity Party from the Joseph Boakai Unity Party that now wants to write a different narrative. It doesn't work that way when Joseph Boakai served diligently that administration for 12 years. How do you reconcile that? This is our confusion. Joseph Boakai cannot have his cake and eat it too, Kellebu. Joseph Boakai worked as the deputy lieutenant under a massive corrupt administration. And you know what he did to solidify that? He re-ran on that very ticket. I'll tell you that right now. If my values or if my principles in an institution does not reflect the practices of that institution, most especially the head, I'm out. I'm out. He did not have to resign the first 6 years, but what action did he take to say, you know what? This is how I distinguish myself. Let me tell you something, Kellebu. Good leaders act not when they have power only, or not when there's an opportunity to make a distinction such as now. Joseph Boakai had the opportunity to relinquish power in 2011 in the interest of his country. That's how I would have respected a man who wants to distinguish himself. He could have resigned. He could have said, you know what? I'm not going to rerun the Ellen-led government because her values does not align with mine. And I do not want to be part of history under an administration that have failed to fight corruption, promised to make corruption enemy number one and did not, right? An administration that promoted at the highest level nepotism, appointed her sons and her family members in strategic key areas. He could have said, I'm out. He did not. And so now he wants to somehow distinguish himself. The Unity Party remains the institution. Unity Party remains the institution. And so let me close on a note. I want to be very clear. Joseph Boakai cannot distinguish himself. Joseph Boakai administration is Joseph Boakai administration. Whatever happens under this administration come 2029 will be the administration of Joseph Boakai and Jeremiah Bankong. Jeremiah Kong cannot say, well, guess what? He can have his own ideas. He can have his own vision of running the country. That's fine. But he is part of this administration. He takes the good and the bad because he was there.
Hey, look, Robert, to quickly, oh, he's gone. To quickly respond to Robert, here's what I will say. Look, I think I'm on record on this channel many times saying that I didn't have the belief and the faith in Boakai. I didn't believe that Boakai has the courage to do anything. That's why I said repeatedly that Joseph Boakai and Joshua are considered them one side of the same coin. And you just need to choose one of them because I didn't believe any of them had idea to transform the state, to transform and fight corruption. We are proved that for 6 years. He didn't have the capacity to transform. He did not have the capacity to fight corruption. In fact, he encouraged corruption under a 6-year rule. I made this argument repeatedly that Unity Party and CDC are the two corruption parties in the country. We should deal with them. We should put them one side in 2029. But now, out of the blue, Boakai is showing to me that, hey, I'm having a come to Jesus moment here. I'm going to start to change, okay? That's what Boakai is trying to do. Look, I'm on record saying the public works minister appear here. I accuse him of engaging in a corrupt act publicly here. I've been on record saying that Boakai even is engaged in nepotism, bringing his relatives. I'm critical on Boakai on all these things. But the fact that Boakai is trying to hold the WIA administration, key members of the WIA administration, on, for acts they committed against the Liberal state, I think it's
he has to go a step further, Calabo. He has to not just, I know, I love how you want to come in. He has to not just go after key members of Georgia government. He has to go after key members of his party. This is how you show that you want to fight corruption squarely across the board.
Let me tell you, the only disappointment, or maybe the only, I would say, contradiction in this whole move is when I watch a video at the cabinet, the opening statement where he said they are not fighting, they're now hunting, or they're hunting witches. When I look on his right hand side, sitting there was Jeremiah Kung, Correction King Kong. So I was like, okay. And when the cabinet members were clapping, I didn't see Kung clap. I said, this is Thomas Fala partners in crime, in public crime. Jeremiah Kung is Thomas Fala, Ellen Snow, Prince Moi. These are his partners in crime. Budget manipulators, according to Prince Johnson. It's and even different other reports, they are misogynist because if they release the other report as is, you see the likes of Thomas Fala, Jeremiah Kung, let's know all this, but you see that name, Prince Moi. Because these are the grand budget manipulators in the country that I should know them. Okay? But Boakai is having that man on his right hand side, and at least he's taking this action. And I hope Kung will be caught in that corrupt web and he be impeached.
So here's my thing, right? I listened to Robert said President Boakai cannot distinguish himself. I do think that he actually can distinguish himself. Reason being is, in other parts of the world, there's a second chance program, okay, where felons, okay, and other perpetrators of terrible crimes are given second chances. I think this is President Boakai's second chance that he's giving. And based on his actions, based on how corruption is put at the very top of his agenda to transform Liberia, Liberians can look back and say, why it is true that he may have been a part of the Eden-led government that invented corruption, the brown envelope in Liberia. When he was given the opportunity to perform, he fought corruption vigorously, and at least we sense it. So we cannot say he cannot distinguish himself. Just like we said This is an opportunity for President Boycott to leave behind legacy. Our biggest problem, Robert, all of us on this platform will agree, Liberia's biggest problem, besides the corrupt legislature and other branch of government, corruption is literally the mold in the entire process. Well, and when I said besides, I meant the individuals. So if he can take on the mantle of authority and really fight corruption vigorously to the extent where he will prosecute people, and Liberians will see that people are prosecuted. But mind you, may the prosecution be transparent and let it be across the board. Once that is done, President Boycott would have distinguished himself from Madame Sharif, who took responsibility for her son's corrupt act and left without any form of prosecution. And today, unfortunately, the late Robert Sharif, whatever his name is, not Robert, but his brother, is no longer with us to experience the law. So if President Boycott can really do what we are talking about today, I think that would be the distinguishing moment for him going forward. You and I would sit and say, you know what? Yes, he did what he was expected to do. Going forward, we can give him the torch to say he started the fight against corruption.
So I know you want to come in. Get 30 seconds. And I'm glad you said, Lofa, he would have. Because it's too early to say that he has distinguished himself, right?
No, that's why I say he right.
Yeah. So yes, I'm glad that you said that. But again, and maybe Sylvester can come here and make this sense, because the neo progressive are very smart people. They analyze the things in a good way. Sylvester, so let me ask you this. It's difficult, right? You know, because again, one of Boycott's Lofa first decision was who he picked as VP. The character of who a president picks as VP goes a long way. And I think sometimes we jump over that. God forbid something happened to Joseph Boycott right now. You know who becomes the next president of Liberia? Jeremiah Cohn. Caleb mentioned the corruption King Kong was sitting right there. So in the vetting process, did Joseph Boycott and his team now know that they were picking a corruption King Kong? Or were they more
concerned? Like I said, you're ready to dance to the devil.
Or were they more concerned about winning an election
that is
and
exactly,
doing what was in the best interest of the Liberian people? What they also don't understand, right, intellectually, is that again, it could have. Many people can say, you know what, this was a selfish decision there, because any patriotic Liberian who wants the best for his or her country would not only think about winning the next election, would think about making the right decision in the interest of the country.
So Robert, hold on a second. Robert, hopefully can answer this question in while you're landing, right? There are permanent Liberians, educated, or I would say self-proclaimed educated Liberians, who supported President Boycott, not because he's competent, but because they thought that was the only way they could win President Weah out of it. So what will you say to those people who purposely thought to support President Boycott simply because they wanted to remove George Weah as the solution to Liberia's problem?
And this is the reason why during the campaign, the election, I said that the notion that anything but George Weah is one that I would never subscribe to. Okay. Because I never embraced this idea, anything but George Weah. Because when we start saying anything is better than George Weah, then we create a problem. And I believe this is when Joseph Boycott came in place. I think Caleb mentioned that, George Weah was a popular figure when he got elected. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was. I don't think Joseph Boycott is as popular as Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah, right? Even though he's been in public service longer, but I don't think he holds, with the exception of now that he has been elected president, I don't think he holds he's a national figure or a celebrity as compared to both of his predecessors. But the point that I'm making here is decision matters here. And for me personally, for me to grade what people stand for, I look at their decisions. And so the decision of Joseph Boycott to pick a corruption King Kong, defeats this whole purpose that he had any intention of fighting corruption or making corruption enemy number one across the board. I will close on this note. Joseph Boakai can only distinguish himself, which I don't think will happen, if Joseph Boakai position himself as the guy to fight corruption without cherry picking. I don't think Joseph Boakai has within his belly the political will, Caleb, to go after any top figure within his own party. And I could be wrong. But at the end of the day, yeah, you can't tell me this man is the best man to fight corruption when he vetted a VP pick who was massively corrupt. When he vetted that very VP pick, right, had a private school where he was getting a budgetary allotment for, when that school was not even a public university. I mean, this guy has no credibility. So Joseph Boakai will leave us with a corruption King Kong, God forbid, if he was incapacitated to carry out his constitutional responsibility as president of Liberia. But yet still, he somehow distinguishes himself. How do you reconcile the two? Again, I'm all for fighting corruption. I'm all for fighting corruption. But we should slow down. We should look at the characteristics of the leader, yeah. We should look at his past roles, and we should look at his decision. Joseph Boakai have not shown that he's the guy who makes the right decision in the interest of his people and in the interest of his values and what he stands for. It is about winning the next election, and he's won. Now he must perform, but until he does it, to say it's not targeting, it's not political reasons, I'm on this side, would not trust what he's doing. Sylvester.
Yeah, but Robert, let me just, I know somebody wants to come in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, guys, let's do it quickly. We're almost down to the hour.
Oh, yeah. So let me just add a little bit to what Robert said. Robert, I agree with you on some of the issues you raised. If our President Boakai advisor today, I will say to him, at your age, you are in your 80s, what you need to do is to lay a foundation, a firm foundation for fighting corruption. Set up a national commission.
Point of correction, my uncle is 79, not 80.
Man, for your age, you talking about. I'm calling for your age. The man is 80. What are you talking about? No. So I would tell him, let's set up a commission of inquiry here to vet or to review all of the other reports under the Unity Party government, to look into it and see where people walk away. There are people who have turned themselves into farmers today in Liberia. Some of them, they have found the asset they have on their farm. People who have visited the farm worth more than $10 million. And their salary, whether they work for the United Nations or whatever, can never give them that money. And they cannot show what they told loan to even have such an asset on their farm. Okay? But they got it when they were working for government of Liberia. So let's go into this thing and say, look, Liberian, we're going to fight this thing. We're going to seize people's property that we believe and we can prove that they got it while working in government. You could do that, but Boakai is not going to do that because you can see the pattern of appointment, the central bank, the other key institution where LTA is putting his cronies in financial institution where he will rake out. What he is doing here, the reason why I'm happy is, and I'm very emotional about that, is because I sat with a key lieutenant official in the WIA government and said to him, you'll do this. In fact, if you'll do this, I will join CDC. Because I was passionate for them to fight corruption. They turned blind out to it. And they do not today, I'm very happy. That's why I have to make that statement. But not that I'm convinced that Boakai will go any deeper on this, because I know he's engaged in corrupt act already. Look at the Social Security, National Social Security letter. Look at all the other things. Look,
I hear there a report that he requested money from central bank. They have evidence to prove.
Listen, look, if you want to even add, your vice president requested, he took $1 million from the government of Liberia. He said the clinic is for government now. In the asset declaration, Jeremiah could declare that clinic as his asset. Whereas Santerre report and even all the reports show that he said the clinic is for it's a government clinic now. That was government put $1 million there. But that's a clear conflict and corrupt act, criminal act, I should say. But Boakai is not going to go after his able lieutenant. So I mean,
But Kedabu, the man is already appointing people. It's becoming like a tribalistic stuff.
Let me not lose my train of thought in this process. Let me not lose my train of thought and me come in now. But I start and something off. Listen, we have to sometimes be clear on the something. And the reason why I want to strike the balance, I know my Lofa County brother will oftentimes deviate here or whatsoever, who all deviate. I said, but yes, we need to strike the balance on this show. And I believe that sometimes we need to come, when we make those kind of statements, be backed up by some level of evidence to just be definitive. I think it's uncalled for, and I think it's not necessary here. To come out and say the current vice president, Kun, is corruption king Kong, that means you should have some hard evidence that he's being indicted for corruption.
Peewee, I have evidence.
I'm coming.
The recent asset declaration form shows that evidence. Go ahead.
I'm coming. To come out and say the vice president of the Republic of Liberia is a corruption king Kong, meaning there's somehow evidence that he's being indicted through a process. He was indicted and prosecuted and found guilty of corruption. That's where we can. That's enough. Now, the basis of the issue of the clinic in Ganta, the clinic he turned over in Ganta, he didn't turn it over to the Liberian government.
Correction, he did not turn the clinic over.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm saying here. That's what I'm coming to say what I was saying. He didn't turn the clinic over to the Liberian government. He didn't do that.
He just said he turned it over.
Yeah, he didn't turn it as giving it to the Liberian government. He said, okay, the Liberian government make use of it to help government, right? Reduce this issue about this health difficulties we have in that part of the country. That's what he did. And I thought at the time that was commendable on his part, a young entrepreneur in his area.
Where is the evidence? Where is your
right?
How he did? Show me the newspaper or the evidence. Because you make this money.
Cannibal, let him land. But Cannibal, let him land. Let him land.
Listen.
He charged me for evidence.
Okay, well, let him land then. Let him land so we can get his side.
We gotta be fast. We got 10 more minutes to go though.
I have no relationship whatsoever with the vice president.
But what I'm government, that's the problem you have.
Come again?
The new progressive law government official.
No. No, you want something mean as I can continue to say.
No, the new progressive law government official.
Listen, I
you're
think about
with CDC people. Now you are around United Party people.
I think about Mr. Gongolo, let me with all due respect to you, I'm one person that don't move on the basis of sentiments. I take deep concern into how I intend to analyze my relationship, my association, the rest of that. I am at the kind of ideological thinking we associate and merge ourselves with. We build chemistry with people that got similar thought process of us, that believe in the mantra of the massive. And our mantra is the massive, right? The mass base of the people need to be protected. And that's part of the ideological thinking we have. That's why we say we think Liberia first, and we are all citizens first before we went to as individual partisans of different political institutions. So we don't associate with people on the basis of that. And that's the believer. We believe that we can be simple, but we can also conduct ourselves in a very fair manner and push evidence-based argument. And that's what I love to believe in, evidence-based argument. Now, to come out and say someone, for me to just uprightly state here that Gongolo is a corrupt man or he's this, that means I should have some hard evidence to prove that Gongolo did XYZ. Now, the clinic you mentioned in Nimba County, in Ganta City, in Gompa, the man turned over the clinic for the government to make use of it to reduce most of the health difficulties we were faced with in that part of the country. Now, he did not give it to the government as a property to the government. He didn't do that. And the money that was placed in the budget then, I believe that I can recall then, we followed the process very closely, was meant for the operational basic of that very clinic in Ganta, in your home county, right? So if the basis of you saying he's a corrupt person on the basis of just hearsay, and the perception problem we have in the fight against corruption is a major problem in Africa and Liberia. The perception problem. If I was
he was still generating funds from that clinic. And those funds were going to his pocket.
Robert, please let him land because I really want to speak to this.
So how you reconcile that?
Let's Sylvester land. So
that's the perception problem we have, right? So I would think if we needed to move to something, you'll start generating money from the clinic, but government didn't build the clinic for him, Robert. Government didn't build the mini hospital. Government did not build that hospital. He built it. He constructed it and did everything. The thing he did everything basically on the process there. So
Well,
my point here is
ask Sir Joseph too. Then he will tell you something. All that thing talking, you swallow everything. Talk to Sir Joseph.
So let me. Sylvester, can I say something? Can I respond here quickly?
Yeah, you want? I know what you want to say already. Go ahead.
What do you know? You're a mind reader now. Tell me what I want to say.
Yeah, what you want to say that what I said, not true. And you
okay, Mr. Sake. Okay. You can make money out of that. You can make a lot of money out of being a sake.
Go ahead. That's what you want to say.
But no, not everything you said is false, but 98% of what you said is incorrect. I'm not saying.
I just said I think I'm disagree with me. So go ahead. Yeah, I told you, right? I predicted your mindset.
Okay, but here's the basis on which I would disagree with what you just said. Vehemently, too, I would do that. Reason being, corruption is not when one takes money out of your pocket. I said this earlier.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
The idea of lying about the property in itself is an act of corruption.
Did he lie?
He. What do you mean he did not lie?
I said, did he lie? I'm actually.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He lied about the ownership of the property when he was questioned about the financing aspect of it. All right, because there were budgetary allocation made for that property. He then defended the decision by claiming the property was actually turned over to the government. Turnover could be interpreted in so many ways. I gave the property to have the administrative aspects of things done by the government, to supervise things, or I gave it for public use based on income. But here's my thing. He lied. President Jeremiah Cohen, or one would say Vice President Jeremiah Cohen, is one of the most corrupt. If you were to ask on this platform today, name 3 corrupt politicians in Liberia, Jeremiah Cohen name would not be taken out of the list. Alex Tyler name would not be taken out of the list. Okay, and I can go on and on. As a matter of fact, the Speaker of the House, Fanati Kofa, name will not be taken out the midst of it. So these people cannot simply be excused from the problem that we experience in Liberia. They are the core of Liberia's problem. So when Kelbo say Jeremiah Cohen is corrupt, let us accept it that he is corrupt and pray that he can have a come to Jesus moment where he will see reason to hopefully get away. But at this point, it appears to be a little bit more difficult because the man is so much embedded in corruption to the extent that he knows no way out of acting corruptly in a way. Right now, the vice president is building 100-bedroom hospital in my county. Now, you tell me, how do you perceive that? As an act of humanitarian effort? Isn't that a form of, again, these are all things that we should be concerned about. No matter how we twist our tongues about how it is stated, how politically correct we may want to sound, the reality remains. The reality here is this. Jeremiah Cohen is very corrupt. He's toxic, and he's a poison to Liberia existence. Alex Tyler is no different from that. The current Speaker of the House is just as worse. Okay, so going forward, if you want to defend his character, try another way. But these individuals are just listed for you, and folks will start to name a lot more of them.
And I would say to you, the current Speaker of the House, Councilor J. Fananti Kofa, the current Vice President. There's nothing in the history of the Republic of Liberia in terms of, for me, I'm not coming out to just say things because
Robert.
I got you. We gotta go. That's why I'm closing though. That's why I'm closing down.
We have to close. But I don't want to keep talking on this because what Robert is doing here.
Not Robert, Sylvester.
Sorry, Robert. I'm calling my good brother name on this kind of thing. I'm sorry. What Sylvester is.
Sylvester back.
He's a neo-progressive. The law of government official. So
You know the reason. Listen, he don't. Gongro is not. Mr. Gongro is not telling us, and because we did new progressive. We believe in respecting our Sion brothers and the rest of them. We don't disrespect them, right?
That was a tradition now.
You know,
What
is very
is not telling
small.
us?
He's
What
very
Mr. Gongro is not telling us is that he's part of the old progressive. Those old progressive, they were selfless people, group of right, and group of selfless people that didn't do nothing for the country. And the new progressive came out to change that mantra, that mindset. So he's kind of the new progressive.
Robert, you know what?
These are the old progressive, right?
Robert, we can have debate about this progressive.
Why you keep referencing Robert? That's Sylvester.
Guys, the guy gotta go. If you don't do your closing.
Robert,
let's give our closing, guys.
Yeah.
Let's give our closing, man.
No,
I wanted to
say this. Let me tell you, I wanted to say this in 10 seconds. You know, Sylvester, the way we measure public service, you study political science. I will just give a quick scenario and ask my closing. If we have a house here, and this house belongs to everyone, if I come in this house and before I enter this house, the election commission tell me, or the people can select you and say, hey, before you come here, you must show how much you get, the minimum you get. I tell you, Sylvester, I have $5. Then I come there after 12 years. Another entry moment comes. They say, can't tell how much you not get. And Sylvester, I tell you, oh, I get 50 million now. Say I'm been here 12 years. Sylvester, when I enter, I only have $5. And maybe I would say 5 million. 5 million when I was entering. And the salary you can give me, you added for 12 years, can't even reach 50 million. But after 12 years, you ask me, show how much you now made. I say 50 million. Where you think I got that money? How you think I got it?
Two things clear. We have to be very clear here. Two things. If a salary can give you 50 million, you may have indulged into something that multiply what the period give you 50 million. Business, for instance. So you ask for those lines.
No. That would be a part of your salary. That would be a part of your salary, Sylvester. That's a part of your salary.
That's corruption.
Come again?
This is your government office to do that.
Let me get my closing, yeah.
Well, what about the money I give Prince Johnson? Go ahead. Robert, go ahead.
So listen, here's what's on my mind. Look, it saddens me that in Liberia, we continue to kill the dreams of young people. I'm a big sports guy, and my two favorite teams are Manchester United and the Lone Star. So I follow a lot of the sports activity, especially our young people. And this summer, we've had a lot of young people that have signed contracts in Europe, in the top flights in Sweden and Denmark and things like that. But you won't believe this. I think a few months ago or so, the UAE government offered the Lone Star a full month of training. You know what they said, Doc? They said, you guys can come to United Arab Emirates. We will give you accommodation. We will give you training ground. We'll give you transportation. All you have to do is to just pay your team way to the UAE. Pay their way and give them that per diem. The Ministry of Youth and Sports did their due diligence, and they figured that they needed $150,000 for round-trip tickets and per diem. Liberia has a very important game coming in September. And they were supposed to leave on the 1st yesterday. Do you know that these people the team did not leave because the government said they did not have money? $150,000.
But it paid $500,000 for Independence Day celebration.
Thank you. $150,000.
Independence Day celebration. How much did you spend? How much spend for Waka
in Buchanan?
Waka party.
Thank you. Party. Okay, $150,000. They said they don't have money. The coach that was hired by the LFA, the coach left the country after the Lone Star last game and went back to his country in Romania, and he has refused to return until the government pays him 2 months in salary arrears and what is owed him. And he said until he gets that money, he will not resume training for the team. Yet the government don't have money. Every day the government don't have money. The very government refused to pay those young ladies who represented Liberia at the women's tournament. They refused to pay those girls. They was going to give them $100 each. Those girls said no. If you can get us something nice, at least $500, keep your money. We'll go represent our country free of charge. Those girls went represented the country, and they did so well. They made it as close to the semi-finals, Sylvester. And all the government officials were cheering for them. All Liberia. Look what happened at the Olympics. I see today the president is on live talking to the folks at the Olympics. Look at the Olympic budget. We as a country, we've got to do better by our young people in our country. Soccer is one of the things that have rescued a lot of families and a lot of young boys and girls in our country. If we cannot invest in their education, why can't we invest in their talents to go abroad? Do you know what this would do if Liberia national team? I'm not talking about professionals though. This is for the local base players who play in the league, to go to United Arab Emirates for 1 month. The people said they will give you transportation. They will give you accommodation. You mean to tell me you can't pay your own people way to go over there for that opportunity?
But no media is talking about this, Robert. Why not you?
Yeah, people are talking about it. They just don't have the national platform.
Let me talk to them, Robert.
They just don't have the national platform.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to put this out there, and I want to challenge the government.
Yeah, I think that's a need.
You have $150,000. Invest in the young people. $150,000 for a whole country. It's nothing. Invest in the young people and stop playing games here.
But the young people don't
invest in the young people.
You know, Robert. You know
the reason why. Close, guys, that go 1-1 close. Julia, go ahead.
Invest in the young people, and so this really bothers me every time it comes to investing in the future of young Liberians. A 17-year-old kid just recently got signed in South Africa in the Premier League in South Africa. Talented kid, went to Sweden, came back, and so. When these guys go abroad, we want them to play for Lone Star, but we don't want to invest in them until they themselves go and invest in themselves, make it out there. Then we start. How can we do this as a nation? So to the Guar administration, in my closing, come on, man, give those guys the $150,000, pay the coach, and let those guys train so that they can go and raise the flag of our country at the African Cup of Nations next year. Do the right thing and invest in young people. This is very embarrassing. Thank you.
Well, let me just add to that, right, Robert? If you are to read the comment below, right, that says you don't understand Liberian politics, or you have
no. Don't listen to that, man. Let's move on.
Well, no. The reason why I love to highlight
the time we got to.
Yeah,
I'm not saying the reason why I'm trying to highlight these things is simply because I want to amplify the message that Robert is preaching here. Robert is asking to help build the future of other young people. But the mindset of some of our people continue to degrade the process. Because if you don't succumb to corruption, then you don't understand Liberia. That is their mentality. In this entire discussion, you can see that Robert is passionately appealing to, he said, look, just give these people transportation. He's appealing to them. But somebody would think that Robert's decision to appeal for assistance is wrong.
No,
simply because his brother...
Every reasonable Liberian will support what Robert said.
Right.
Reasonable Liberian will support that.
Every reasonable... I'm glad that you used the word reasonable. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in the position where we must always succumb to corrupt politicians and people who are not in our interest. I'm not going to say anything else about the political discussion that we held earlier. I'm going to add to Robert's appeal. It will only be the right thing to do if we are to pay the coach based on his recent record. Just look at his record. He gave us joy. We love soccer in Liberia. Those young men are doing everything they can to be a part of the process of transformation in Liberia. Pay the money, transport it. My uncle, Kelvin Soko, he served as the national coach for track and field. He explained similar situation here one time when they appear here with the sports talk. He said they were given opportunity for track and field. They had the opportunity to have a jet charter and flown to Liberia to bring track and field athletes to participate in the Olympics. The Liberian government refused under the claim that they could not afford. So all along, it never been about Liberia. It about the selfish interest of those who feel like it's about them. I'm simply appealing, please pay those young men way to go and do what they need to do. Let them get the experience they need to get. Let us support them and let us support our athletes who are competing in the Olympics today and tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, they will be competing as well. Let us support them. Thank you.
Yeah,
let's get it.
Yeah, quickly. I believe we patriotic Liberian, every Liberian across the middle of the Republic of Liberia, those outside of Liberia should support and the Lone Star and all of our national, those that represent the national ism of our country. The flags are important, something that we all respect and we pledge our allegiance to. Basically, we always say I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Republic. So we all have to be very consistent in this process and be passionate about it. I believe yes, the Lone Star being a kind of a point of conversion for all of us in terms of our own term diversity, and basically it's the uniting force behind our country. So we have to support the Lone Star and we have to be current on the process, because if we don't pay the coach, if the coach were to complain also FIFA, there's some consequence we can bear for that. It happened before to us. There was some problem where our past coach complained. It's wrong. We have to desist from that. There's a serious penalty FIFA hit on countries that would try to default on those kind of things. So we need to do that and respect those athletes. And beyond that, we need to put in a kind of a preparatory process for them, where some of them will have some scholarship to get educated, and so they will concentrate more or less on bringing the right thing instead of going to fashion for themselves and the rest of that. So, but again, in our country, I believe accountability is prudent. It's important that we account for people resources. But meanwhile, we account for the people resources. We have to be very clear and holistic in terms of our perception here. The perception problem, we have to desist from disassociate from this perception problem and allow folks to the investigative bodies to investigate something and come up with conclusive findings, so that we come out to make a decision on those things, instead of coming and say this person, Professor Fury, is corrupt, or Kerebu Gongo is corrupt, and I cannot prove nothing whatsoever. If I were to sit down here now and say Kerebu Gongo ate all of the pig in Monrovia, he alone, with no evidence, I didn't see part on the fireside says, man, he all he pig. Right? So that would be a wrong judgment process here.
Man,
And I don't believe we should come out and call name calling with all those things, and it's wrong. So, but the country is moving. The democracy is actually on course, and I believe that we held it. We somehow headed to two-party process. There we headed. And I don't want to hear that, but the evidence are there, and it's clear that that's the kind of process we head into. But again, the country is going to be moving. We have to. But the good part of it. What is good for the discourse? What is good for the discourse is that we can disagree to agree. Have a very wonderful good night.
Kalabu.
Yeah. So, guys, good show. I'm happy to be back. But here, what I will say, Robert is, it's a good note to end on the sporting issue, okay? But I always tell people, if you want to know how government is doing, not just Boaka, look at the record, look at health sector, look at sports. Look at education. In the last 50 years, the government of Liberia has not built no public school in Monrovia. MCSS school has been diminishing in number because those are the public schools where poor children are supposed to go. Government has built no new public school. Okay? Look at SKD. SKD was built by, I think, the Chinese. Okay? Government of Liberia has not actually put in the budget to say we're going to build sports facilities in Buchanan, in populated cities, to attract talent, to help Liberian youth to develop. They're not doing that. All these things just lip service. They steal all the money. They don't put in more money in health, in education, in sporting events, because you know what? They are actually investing in poverty. Because when the people are poor, then those who steal more money get re-elected. They remain on top. That's the whole slogan, and that's the strategy of the politician for generation. That's what they do. So I'm not surprised that Robert and other people are talking this story, because I was vice president for operation for Liberia Tennis Federation. We had opportunity to even send people to go play. Nowhere to go. Tennis pie is not even captured in the budget. So now they'll say for tennis, maybe they'll pay $200 a whole year. Whole budget, $200. You can't even buy a ticket. So I mean, there's no interest in sports, in skill development in the country.
Thank you, Kelebu. Kelebu, welcome back. Good to see you. Welcome back home. We miss you, and we're glad that you made it back. You made it back safely. But what I will say here is, the young people themselves, they need to start thinking right and start voting for old people who will not even support them in the youthful stage.
I think they should start voting for corrupt people as
corrupt leaders. Yeah. I mean, when you vote for somebody,
people talking about very young people, but
you vote for somebody who 82-year-old, you're expecting to see your vision and promote it to let you go there and play soccer or things like that. No, and they need to start thinking faster. But all in all, I think the government need to support them if they will. Because they just use almost $200,000 on Baka birthday party. I mean, $150 is nothing,
and $500,000 on the
Independence Day
celebration.
So. But all in all, I do stand for that corrupt officials should be brought to justice, but it should be done in a very transparent way. And I think what we are looking at now, it's the same thing that existed in the WIA government. There's nothing new that we see now did not exist in the government. The same way they went after other people, they removed other people from job, their position, they did all these things. I hope one day God will send a leader to Liberia who will really transform them. And I believe we have one. The Liberian poor refused to say he knew. And Alexander coming would have probably brought the change to Liberia. But guys, it was good, man, having you guys. Have a good weekend. I need to go grab
the new progressive. We got to talk behind the scene, though. Your people been reaching out, and I don't know, but we got to talk. I talk to you. I got to get your consent.
I'll let me talk to you, okay?
Harry, have a good weekend, okay?
I'm not open. I'll call you tomorrow.
Henry, have a good weekend. I did get a cool one that guy. I've been here since 5 o'clock.
That's good. Yeah. No, but
yeah.
You guys need to support us. Text for Liberia. We are non-for-profit organization, and we were involving ourselves in doing work at a very minimum for.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys.
Okay. Technical work, but we'll talk about it later. Let's talk Kelebu in the back.
All
right.
FM 93.1, the heart and soul of Liberia.
Not the 6.1 Truth FM. This is Renaissance Radio broadcast live from Dubuque and Painesville, outside the nation's capital, Monrovia. The time exactly. There's 34 minutes down 12 o'clock here in Liberia. It has been fascinating, educative, and informative here in the program. Closing argument. Join the team that are going to be next morning at which time I'm going to be here. Many thanks to the guy there, Hot FM 107.9 for reading this program. And the team at Truth FM 96.9 in the County Sacramento for also reading the program. All other feeder radio stations for also reading the program. I've been here with my top here. My name is Henry. We'll catch you. We take our final weekend break that's going to be on today. We'll catch you again. That's going to be on next Monday, at which time I'm going to be here. So many thanks to you, our online viewers, for always following the closing argument. It has been fascinating. Yes. It has been very, very fascinating. Very, very firing. Yes. So that's it. Join the team. See what mistake. We just play the song. Play your low. So certainly, I don't know. You gotta play your low. Just play let it slide. There are times your expectation will not be met. But come on, you gotta play your low. Let it to slide. Come on, let it slide. So let's go. Father the several man, bigger mistake. There's a circle out that we are in. Leave mistake. Come on, you are the train. So let's go.